Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Tiga, with like always is my super duper friend, Noah Bailey. So, today, Noah and I will be going over our top 10-ish favorite superhero projects from the last year. This was the first year in a while that uh, Marvel and DC both had pretty significant projects, plus there's some other ones that were pretty good sprinkled in there as well. Um, and yeah, this includes Marvel, DC, other random, uh, properties, animated,
Yeah.
live action,
Oh
um,
yeah.
video game, even. Uh,
Yep.
so yeah, let's get it started with year number 10.
Okay. So my number 10 is animated, and this was Green Lantern Beware My
I still
Power.
haven't
This
seen it.
is
You keep
yeah,
telling me to
it's
see it, and
okay.
I haven't
It's
seen it.
okay. It's okay.
I don't care about spoilers.
Okay. So here's my thing with this movie. I have positives and negatives about this
Mm.
because some things happen that I was like, wow, do you care if I spoil it? Do you want
No,
me to
I don't
talk
care.
about it?
Yeah, I don't care about
You
spoilers.
sure?
So yeah, go.
Okay. Well, first thing that bothers me is there is a significant time jump in this movie. Like weird time jump
Uh
because
huh.
we're in the Tomorrowverse, which is Superman, Man of Tomorrow, Batman,
Mm.
Goth, Long Halloween, Justice Society, World War II, like that universe, which has been really good so
Yeah.
far. And up to this point, it's kind of been, they're kind of just, they're kind of doing their own things. Flash has met Superman, but
Mm.
like they're not really that close, kind of thing. And this movie does a thing that I really hate is like the movie starts and we are way established in the Justice League. I mean, we're
Mm.
on the Watchtower. We've got core members. Everyone knows each other. It's a lot of like, and again, this is it. Like it just starts like this. It just assume it feels like I missed three movies
Right.
coming into this movie.
Because I
It's
know at the
very like out of nowhere.
at the end, the after credit scene of Long Halloween Part Two, I think Flash and Green Arrow show up, or someone shows up at Batman's house and you know, like
Yeah,
basically brings him into the Justice League. But then we jump well ahead of that.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
we jumped well in. I mean, people are calling heroes by their first names. Like it's very, a lot new characters are added. We haven't seen it all. Like a lot has happened, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay.
Uh
Like,
huh.
granted, I had no comics, so I'm good. But like, I kind of wanted to see, like we didn't get to see Batman and Superman's first interaction, but now it's like, yeah, Bruce is off doing whatever, and it's just like, oh, well, I guess we're just gonna.
I mean, they technically could still have that later. I don't know. This does feel like the universe that they should just make a bunch of movies about. Like they should have like a Batman Superman story doing
Oh yeah,
whatever.
like a world finest, whatever. Yeah,
Please, yes. I remember the New 52 did something kind of similar where after Throne of Atlantis they just skipped way ahead and all of a sudden you have two Green Lanterns, Martian Manhunter, and Black Canary. Everyone's
yeah,
just already here.
yeah.
It's that's a little annoying because I want to
Well,
see the characters actually being established
it's
a
kind
lot.
of
But
like the Young Justice thing. Like I like how characters kind of off screen do just get added because again, we don't need to see every single league member's introduction. We'll be here all day.
mm-hmm.
But I feel like for me, it's more about the core member interactions. Because
Yes.
again, like I feel like we need to see how we go from individual heroes that don't know anything about each other to, oh yeah, I trust this person with my life. It's like, okay, how did we get there? Like, we're just here now. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
kind of like, and I know that happens every time there's a universe, but it's still a big moment. I feel like there's always a good or something because again it's like it's the same but it's still different because it's like how they meet in some continuities is different than others, how they get along well, it's like it's to the like history of the team, it's like you missed, what I mean, it's like you
Mm-hmm.
missed a lot, like you don't feel as immersed in their world when you miss such key interactions, so it kind of feels a little, but that was one of my bigger gripes with it. But again, that's kind of one of those like, what, I mean, I didn't like the end game skip either, so I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there's more to it than that. There's it's time skips aren't everything, but
Right.
anyway, this movie focuses on John Stewart Green Lantern, which is great. I think that's a great touch.
Yep.
The only thing is at no point we had really Hal Jordan at all, and Hal Jordan has kind of already been established as like that guy as far as not just the League, but the
Oh,
entire Lantern Corps.
so in this movie,
Like,
Hal Jordan's
yes,
already.
no,
Oh,
yeah, no.
oh,
Hal Jordan's already like not only established. I mean, he is in the Green Lantern Hall of Fame essentially.
wow.
Like it's crazy. Like it's kind of just like they're talking about like they're like John Stewart's like, oh man, we haven't had a human since Hal. It's like Hal, and then they go to this like giant Hal Jordan statue. You're just like,
Okay.
oh dang, like granted that makes sense, but it's like man, we haven't even seen Hal. He's already that like he's already bigger than life essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So so again that's it's kind of interesting because you're kind of in the shoes of John here where you're like okay so there's this guy who I know Hal Jordan but like we haven't met this Hal Jordan at all and it's kind of just like he is awesome apparently. Well that's great, but anyway, I do like that in this movie they introduce some characters like they introduce Hawk Girl, which
Mm-hmm.
is cool because they have that history going back to like the Justice League cartoon and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool. And then they have I forgot totally is Adam Strange? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost said Adam Warlock and I was like, nope.
Different Adam. There are so many.
I was like,
There are so many Adams, or
right?
like Black Adam, the Adam, Captain Adam, Adam Strange, Adam Warlock.
That's what I was thinking. I was kind of like, no, I was like, no,
I
it's
think I'm
not. It's
missing one
not.
too.
No, no,
Adam
Strange, yes,
Smasher.
Adam Smasher. Basically, yeah, but yeah. So like they all basically there's a war between Thanagar and Ran. Okay, cool. Like that's probably happened so many times. I get it. That's awesome. But essentially, each side, how every war goes. Each side says the other is diabolical. Yada yada yada. They eventually find out. Wait a minute. There was something else going on the whole time, and
Parallax.
pretty much, long story short, Sinestro and the
Yeah.
Sinestro Corps have been putting the sides against each other, causing a war because
Mm-hmm.
nothing brings fear like a war. So cool. Like, makes sense. A solid, I mean, not really twists because you kind of knew, like,
Right.
Sinestro's involved. And then it's like, okay, cool. Now, here's the crazy part. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is the part where I kind of like, I put the remote down for a second. So, anyway, Hal Jordan dies in the movie.
Ah.
Or at least you would think so.
Yeah.
However,
Mm-hmm.
he actually survives and has actually been kept prisoner from the Yellow Lantern base.
Yeah.
So what they have to do is like, okay, Hal Jordan's this guy. If we can get Hal Jordan back, we can win this war. And they do. They break, and it's like, Green Arrow's like, I'm gonna go get Hal. Hal's my buddy. Like, I wish I had seen how that was your buddy, but okay, cool. Like, well,
They're both
I
green.
believe you.
You can take it from
Yeah,
there.
you're both green. It works, like basically. So yeah, so they're like, okay, I'm gonna get my buddy. We're coming with you. So it's like Hal, Green, John, or not Hal, Ollie, John Shira, John Stewart, Adam or Adam Strange. God, I'm gonna keep mixing that up. Go to and eventually they find the Sinestro Corps. They sneak in, beat some Yellow Lanterns, and they get Hal back.
Mm-hmm.
But Hal somehow doesn't have his ring. I don't know if they somehow separated him for whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't have his ring. It's crazy. But anyway, they get Hal back, and they're basically like, okay, we don't have time to beat Sinestro's Corp at his full power because Hal doesn't have his ring. Mm-hmm. So what we're gonna do instead, because apparently the Ran has this mega, basically Death Star that they're gonna destroy Thanagar with. So we have to go there, stop them destroying Thanagar, explain this all misunderstanding, save the world. They do all that, fight a bunch of people, get all the way to the Death Star, and mm-hmm. Hal Jordan kills all the Ranians. Wait, like what? Straight up. What do you murders them all.
What?
Yeah. I know. No, this was the part that made me put the remote down. I was like, wait a minute. What? Turns out Hal Jordan mm-hmm. is never actually died. He was evil the whole time and apparently is running the Sinestro Corps the whole time. Yeah, no. See, that was my thought too. I was just kind of like, because I remember I was watching it, and I feel bad because I feel like I should have let you watch this, but at the same time, it was kind of like, what?
That's probably something that's from the comics.
It is, but like, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like that doesn't work. A, we haven't seen Hal Jordan at all in this universe,
Right.
and B, no, that they shouldn't have done that. Like you can't just do that off the bat. That felt very.
Like you already have Sinestro. Like that's your great.
Yeah,
That's your
that's
Yellow
what I mean.
Lantern for
It's
the movie.
like,
Like you don't need more than
yeah,
that.
it's kind of. But it's like no, this was like, no, I am just his acolyte. He is the true. And I was like, Cap, what is
Oh,
this?
come on. Okay. Okay.
I legitimately almost stopped the movie. I was like, no, 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 I'll finish it. But yeah, it was. They somehow beat Hal Jordan, which didn't really make any sense because
Right.
again, John Stewart's had his ring for like a week, and somehow he beat, apparently a Green Lantern, not only the best Green Lantern, but apparently the best Green and Yellow Lantern in the universe. But
Huh.
not bad for a guy who found out what a Green Lantern was 3 days ago. But
Okay.
whatever. So
But
that happened. I have it at number 10 because I honestly I couldn't think of 10 or any more things to add to my list because I was kind of like out of things. But you know what? It is on my list, but it is the worst thing on my list because I did not like two major things about the movie. And the things I liked about the movie, I stopped liking when the movie ended because of how it ended.
right.
Because I'm like, no, I don't like this anymore because this is completely ruined. Like I thought it was gonna be like all right, he's awesome, but I'm also making a name for myself, and we're both Green Lanterns. Cool. Nope.
Nope.
This person who has probably saved the Earth multiple times actually was and I was waiting for the whole like he was just being mind controlled. No, he's just evil.
He was evil the whole time.
The whole time, apparently, or like I don't know. I was very like there were like, and it was weird because like there were hints of it. Like it was almost kind of like the like Clone Wars where Anakin does something, and you're kind of like, okay, he's going a little too far, but I'll allow it because he's a good guy. And it's like you knew something was up, but you didn't think it was. Oh, you thought it was like, oh, maybe he's not himself, or maybe he's just really angry for probably being tortured, or maybe he's just not. That's not the real Hal Jordan. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. But
right.
like, I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's something. I feel bad for spoiling it now, but it's okay.
It's they'll probably watch it eventually because like
Yeah,
I really like the animation of those movies, so I.
the animation is really good, but because it looks really good, it just makes me sad because it's like now I feel like that. I don't know. I feel like whoever approved them, I feel like we need to talk. I don't know. Like
Yeah, like
the
at least wait a little bit longer before you do
well
that.
introduced, like you can't make somebody like you can't make a main title character evil without even introducing him yet. I mean,
Right.
he'd only been on screen for 10 minutes and it was like, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah. Are you aware of what the next movie in that series is going to be?
I think it's Justice League War World, I think is what I saw,
Um,
which sounds appealing. I think there's also a Batman movie. I don't know if that's connected though.
I
That might be
know
just a standalone
I didn't
Batman
hear
movie.
about the War World, but I know they're making a Legion of Superheroes movie,
Oh yes, that too. I forgot about that.
which
Yes.
definitely feels too early to do, but
Yeah,
whatever.
and again, that's kind of my thing. It's like we just got Superman, and we're already doing not Supergirl. We're doing Legion of Superhero. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's like 8 steps too far. I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, and that's kind of my thing. It's like it felt so weird because the universe was definitely starting slow. Because I mean, it was origin story for Superman. Batman was already established, but this was like an earlier Batman story.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like year one, but Long Halloween's more before all my more gangsters than oh yeah, all my villains are psychopaths. So kind of that bridge there. And then there was you know, the Flash seemed like he was the only hero. He was the only hero he had known back in that World War II movie until he went back in time. And it's like, okay, but like, they're taking their time and that's fine. I like it this way. And then it's like super jump.
Mm-hmm.
So again, now it kind of makes more sense with the like Legion of Superheroes because I guess we're further down the pipeline than we first realized when it was announced. But it's like, why though?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh,
felt very. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like I know we just had another animated movie universe that kind of spent time during the years we skipped, but you didn't have to do that.
yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm sure the movie will still be at least decent, but like, it's just a little jarring. There's so many stories I want to see with the characters we already have. We don't need to
Yeah.
make that, or if they are gonna make that, make like 4 movies a year at least, so I can like
Yeah.
appreciate the entire world as opposed to just the couple we get. But whatever.
Yeah. My whole thing too is like I don't know, stuff like this that makes me want to just make my own. Because it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
why would you make that choice? That choice seems so like that doesn't sound like a choice they made. It sounds like somebody told them to do that.
Right.
Like it doesn't. That feels like one of those outside the writing room decisions where it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like everyone is on board to just do this, but it's like because I mean you could have just started with Jon Stewart. I mean, I don't think anyone would have been mad about
That's what
that.
the show did. So like,
That's what I'm saying. It's
Hal
like
Jordan wasn't even referenced until like the last season.
yeah,
So
there was one throwaway reference. It's not even a real reference. It's a random in a flat. It was a time. Okay, hold on. It was a alternate universe time travel arc
yes.
where Jon Stewart morphed into Hal Jordan for about 2 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's how messed up the time stream was,
Yes.
and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he introduced himself, and then everyone was just like, I mean, he's like, yeah, I still know everything that's going on. I'm just Hal Jordan now, and we're just kind of like, okay,
Okay.
and that's it. Which is weird because, like, again, they had other lanterns in that show, but never had Hal Jordan for whatever reason. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But again, a lot of people have grown up. A lot of people who grew up with Jon Stewart were probably looking forward to this. And I feel like, at least I know I was very
Oh
disappointed
yeah.
because while I did like the characters, it was like very distracting because the story seemed out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like that's the thing with a lot of DC things lately. It's like, because it kind of reminds me of like the Hush thing. It's like, oh, we're gonna flip out with the twist, and it's like I feel like the twist is distracting from the story.
Yeah. Like I feel like Hush overall, it was a decent story, and like the twist was executed well enough, but it was a very weird twist that wasn't needed. I don't know.
At all.
It was like I don't need it to be exactly like the comics, but why this? I don't know.
Well, I mean, my thing, it's like if they did the reason that people like Hush isn't just because of the mystery. It's like they like it because it's just a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Thomas Elliott, his whole dynamic is like cool because it's the Bruce Wayne and the Batman kind of dynamic. It's kind of cool. And then it's like, oh no, it's Riddler. It's like,
Sure.
what?
Sure.
It
Whatever.
doesn't even make sense. Like none of that even made sense. That was the dumb part.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if they did a Red Hood movie and then it was just like Deathstroke. It's like what?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I mean,
I,
Arkham Origins, Black Mask is the main. No, it's not. Black Mask is
right?
not the
Okay,
main
yeah,
villain.
okay. Like that again. The only reason that what like I feel like if that had been the first game, that would have been great. But I think because we had already done the Joker love Mark Hamill Joker absolutely to death, but I feel like it was very.
Well, technically it was Troy Baker in that game, but
Oh yes,
sound alike,
yeah.
so it's the same essence. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I forgot. Right, because they didn't get the original. Because they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have Kevin Conroy either. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But yeah, it was like okay, we we've done Joker today, and like I feel like that's the Joker kind of gets overdone with a lot of things because it's like granted it's a great character, but it's like okay, Batman has other rogues for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how I like how in Arkham Knight, he had a reason for being in the story, but it was still Scarecrow, the Arkham Knight, who could have just been Red Hood the whole time, but
Should have
whatever.
just been Red Hood the whole time. Yeah.
It definitely
Whatever.
should have. Because Batman doesn't know who Red Hood is at the time, so it works. Like
Right.
we know it's not a twist to us because we read comics, but I feel like that's who cares? Like we don't care. We don't have to be surprised by a not surprise because a character that at no point had ever been referenced in the entire game series was all of a sudden referenced like 10 times. They're like, I wonder who it could be. It's like, really?
Uh,
But
whatever.
but anyway, yeah, I didn't love this movie. I really didn't. I was really kind of upset because it's one of those things where it's I feel like the whole universe is kind of gonna feel that personally. But
Mm,
again, it's one of those things where it's like, it is what it is.
yeah. Oh. Now, for my number 10, a different green person. My number
Oh,
10 is She Hulk.
okay.
Two Marvel shows were kind of fighting for my number 10. The other one would be an honorable mention. But I like She Hulk. I thought it was very funny. Um, the action scenes that were there were decent enough, but like the whole time I'm watching it, like I couldn't help but shake this feeling that like I felt like it was lacking something. I couldn't put my finger on it. I don't know if I'm alone in feeling that, but like I enjoyed it. I liked the characters, but just I don't know, just like it's not even the thing where every episode left me feeling like I was wanting more. I was just feeling like there should have been more. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, like I kind of because like when I was watching this show, and again, like you said, I also liked this show. Like it was entertaining, but it was not. It's kind of like when you go. It's like going to a restaurant and getting not getting what you ordered. It's
Mm,
not like I don't like what I got. It's just kind of I wasn't in the mood for. It's like if I'm going to a Marvel thing, I'm expecting quips and action, pretty
right.
much. And the jokes were there. The action was not. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really like the action scenes that much. I thought it was very. It felt very much like the superpowers are kind of like. It felt like it almost. How in superhero movies, like the first couple minutes when they first get the powers, are like testing them out.
Uh,
That felt like the only action scenes really in the movie. It's like like that scene in Shazam where he's just figuring out what he can and
mm-hmm.
can't do. It's like that's kind of how She-Hulk felt for their action scene. It was kind of just, oh, let me like kind of do something. Like, I know there were some like actual, this was like the She-Hulk versus Hulk fight were actual like fight scenes,
Yeah,
but like
but
it still felt very like I guess basic. Like they didn't feel like
right.
it was really action.
Like the scene that kind of made me feel this the most was when Wong was trying to close that hole that was letting all those like little demons out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, just like the way that scene was like choreographed and just what they were doing just didn't. I don't know. It felt very like I guess uncreative and just kind of like they're just
Boring.
kind of doing things. Like I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
Wong at least should be able to do anything.
yeah, and also too, like I feel like it was kind of her demeanor too, because she also kind of just felt like just like it kind of felt like she was going through the motions. So we kind of felt as an audience we were going through the
Right.
motions, and I feel like it was kind of just like I don't want to say boring, but kind of yeah, like like it's kind of like oh, there's just some rat. She's throwing some stuff. Okay, that's weird. And it's weird because you're kind of like, well, I kind of want to get back to like,
The lawyer
lawyer stuff.
stuff.
Not lawyer
Yeah.
stuff, but just like, like the action stuff felt more boring than like the actual like, comedy, like living her life stuff.
Yeah. Like I was all in on the actually what it was when it was a lawyer show. I was all in for those parts. The side characters I like quite a bit. Um, I did obviously really like Wong when he was in it.
Yes.
Uh, but just
And oh god, what was that one chick's name? Oh my
was it
gosh,
Michaela Madison?
Madison's
Yeah,
with
Madison.
two. It was like Madison. Was it with two
Madison
O's?
with two N's and a Y, but not where you think.
Yes. No, okay. This I like.
Yes.
You know how like you see a character, you're like, oh, I'm gonna hate this character,
Uh-huh.
and you're like, I was wrong.
Oh yeah.
No, like I was like, this is gonna be the most known character. She was hilarious because
Yeah.
we all have that one friend who we acts exactly like that. I was like, oh my god. It's just like, all right, come on, come on. It was just like, it's like, oh my, Wongers. Like, I was just like,
Like, why is that
it's funny
funny?
because like Wong's going with it. You're just like, oh my
Like,
god.
why is that funny? Like, it shouldn't be, but it is.
Like that's the thing. Like I think she was just kind of funny. So like even though what
uh,
she's saying wasn't that funny, how she said it was funny because
yes.
she was just like I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the kind of thing that worked. I don't know why it
Mm-hmm.
worked, but it did.
Yeah,
So
and
I
like don't
thought
get me
that
wrong,
was.
I do overall like the show quite a bit.
Mm,
Just as far as things from this year, it's technically the lowest on my
lower.
list. Like I would gladly rewatch it. I have to skip a couple of things here and there just to kind of keep it going. But like there's not much I disliked about it, but I definitely felt like there was more it could have more it should have done a little more, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Could have done more.
Cool.
Speaking
Number
of could
nine.
have done more. So my number nine, I have Miss Marvel because I I tried. I really wanted to like this show. I couldn't. Like it's just I don't dislike it, but it was just
Yeah,
it's one of those shows where a lot of things is happening and yet nothing at all is
mm-hmm.
happening.
Yeah, that was
Because
the other show that was fighting for number 10.
yeah, I figured. Like it's just it's like I remember I was watching this show and then I was kind of like going back and like skimming the different points and like I legitimately skipped like the middle three episodes.
And it sucks because all everything that happened in Karaki. Oh no,
Hmm?
that like when they traveled to
Oh, the country. Oh
yeah.
yeah. I do
Dang it,
not know.
the I don't want to say the Middle Eastern place, but like
Just say not America.
not America. When they were in not
There you go.
America,
That
like
is correct
it,
and probably not offensive because it's accurate.
yeah, like that was the plot of the show. Like like that
Kind of.
the going there was specifically to try to learn more about the Bengal, and the villain showed up, and like that was all dealt with in that other country. However, nothing during that actually was interesting or good or made any sense.
No, that was the part that annoyed me. Like I'm trying to follow this. First of all, this movie or no, this show did two things. It was redundant for things that didn't need to be redundant with, and then didn't explain the things we did. It's like it spent because like you had two like I don't even know what the word is, like half love interest, half rival
Uh,
characters who I thought until like the last episode were the same character, legitimately. Like I was confused. I was like, wait, isn't that the guy? Oh, that's somebody else. Like I was so confused because I thought they were the same character,
mm,
like legitimately. Because I was just kind of like they were basically playing the same character. So it felt like it was written to be one character, but
mm,
then they were like, oh wait, this person's in another country. That doesn't really work.
we'll just
Like that's how it seemed. Like I don't
right.
know. It just felt because I don't know. I've never seen something where two people were just exactly the same personality and like the same basic age demographic. That whole thing. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like really whatever. Honestly, I felt like the friends should have been bigger characters. If
Oh,
that makes sense.
absolutely. My
Like
main issue with this show is that they tried to cram at least 2 seasons into 6 episodes.
yeah,
Like season one should have been entirely about like, you know, her school life, how her powers are
yeah,
affecting her relationship with her family and other friends. Like I liked the girl friend character, like her like doing becoming like on the board of the mosque. Like that was a very
yeah.
like kind of like, but then that was dropped because they had to go to a different country for the rest of the
Right.
show.
Like immediately
Bruno,
after.
I thought his character was interesting. I really liked the oh no, the counselor guy at the school. Like I really liked him, but and I felt like everything with the bully character just resolved off screen. Like it just
Yeah.
because they had to shove an entire other season into sloppily into 3 episodes, we had to basically skip any
Yeah.
development with characters I actually liked.
And then they get to the end and they try to like tie it up, and like there, none of the things have been resolved. Like this is clearly we're just running around. Like I was half expecting another episode. I'm like, are they
Yeah.
just gonna come back and like?
I feel like they should have had 6 to honestly probably 8 episodes of just you know more mundane school slash religious slash whatever else stuff involving Miss Marvel powers, and then at the very end of episode, whichever the last episode is, like the stinger is she gets in the car with whatever that guy's name is, and
Mm,
it's the mom character. Next
right.
season, you do more with the what were they called? Um,
I don't even know.
I don't those.
I called them not Eternals.
That's what they are. They're not
That's what I'm
eternal.
saying. That's what was so annoying.
Clandestine.
I was like, these don't even sound like this. Sounds so like
Yeah,
phoned in. Like it didn't make any sense.
clandestines, but like they,
Something, yes,
yeah, like
but it was so funny because they were terrible
they come from this other dimension that we never get to see. It's
or
like
care
this
about or
energy
isn't
of pure
important.
energy. Like, what does that mean? Like, oh, we're afraid that the dimensions will fuse together if we don't plug this hole in
Is that
reality.
bad? Like,
What?
do we even know if that's bad? I mean, what does
And
that
like
even mean?
we keep getting told these people have all these crazy powers and are super evil for no reason, but then their
And
powers
then
are just
like,
like they're kind of strong.
yeah, and then like a 12-year-old loses them in like a chase
Right.
scene. And I'm just like, well, they don't seem that like terrifying anymore. If you can Scooby Doo away from them, they're not really that scary.
Right. I don't like. I just. I don't know. I liked many aspects of the show a
Yeah.
lot, but then when it actually got to the plot of the show, it was bad. Like the family dynamic was also really good, but it's just
Yes,
we didn't
dude,
get to spend
the
time with them.
parents were great.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, because as someone who also grew up with semi-strict parents,
Mm-hmm.
that was extremely accurate. Like
Yeah.
like it'd be like, Mom, I gotta do it. They're like, no,
Yep. Yeah.
absolutely not. Like you were not doing this at all.
The
Like,
brother character I really liked. Like
oh,
just
the brother was the best.
I liked every single character that was in the
In
part of the
America,
story that should have been the majority of the
yes,
show.
I feel like that's what they were originally going to make the whole season about, but then realized, oh, maybe there's not enough action, quote unquote. So we're going to have to like expand this. But by expanding it, they kind of made it worse.
So I think the main problem they had when writing the show was they probably were going, like you said, we're going to make it set in New York for at least the majority of the show, but then realized, oh, we need to make this show tie into Captain Marvel 2.
Mm,
We don't have time to get 2 seasons out, so we'll just cram it all into one rush to her figuring out how her bangle works, and then after credits scene, we'll have Captain Marvel show up. It's like, okay, I
but
guess
you
we
didn't,
can do that.
yeah, but you didn't even have to do it. You could have just had her not understand it and just roll with it and then go into the movie. I feel like that's a better dynamic.
I agree.
Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like shows should exist in order to create an origin for a character that is going to be better utilized on the big screen. Like, for example, like She Hulk. I feel like that was a good way of, okay, this is this character. You know her motivations, you know stuff about her. Now, next time you see her, she's going to be with like the Avengers or something. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, or kind of thing. Or if somebody gets in trouble, she's just going to show up as a lawyer or something. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's one of those things where it's like, she's established, cool. Will you? That's a surprise tool for later. Like, you know what I mean? Not
right.
this like, oh my gosh, we have to make sure all this matches up, and she goes through her entire arc and everything about it. It's like we can kind of fill that in as we go. It's okay. Like you don't have to have everything
Mm,
figured out right now. It's like, we can save some stuff for off screen, definitely.
oh
But
yeah.
I don't know. It just, I feel like, yeah, like, I feel like the at home aspect should have been, I guess I didn't want to make it feel too much, I guess, for lack of a better term, friendly neighborhood, so to speak, because it's like,
But
but like, I feel like that would have worked. Because, like, again, this is like, what, a middle schooler, I believe? Weren't you like seventh grade
high
or eighth?
school, High school.
High
Yeah.
school, maybe early high school. I don't
I think
remember.
they're sophomores.
She she did not have a driver's license. That is
Yes.
what I remember.
I think
So
she
she
was
is
15. Yeah.
okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. She was not only had a driver's license. So in my head, that is a child.
Yeah,
So
honestly.
so the point is, she was a child. So it's kind of like okay, like she's a kid. It's okay if she just goes around and is her like local neighborhood superhero. I think that's cool. Like
Mhm.
especially now when superheroes are mainstream, it's like I feel like that would be kind of cool for them to be like, oh, awesome! Like we have our superhero now, whatever. Even though it's New York, everyone's a superhero, but
I don't
still,
know. I liked several aspects of the show quite a bit, but the whole was not as strong as the parts.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Um,
Oh, that was your 9 too, wasn't
no,
it?
no, 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 no. That was not. That's my number 11 technically.
Oh, got
Yeah.
it.
My number 9 is, which I was not expecting this going, especially going into this year. I was not expecting Doctor Strange 2 to be this low on the list.
Ooh,
I Now, granted, I love like almost everything on this list quite a bit. Um, at least like several aspects of everything on here I like quite a bit. It has a very similar issue with really almost everything Marvel put out this year. I feel like was decent, but just was lacking, really lacking in like I would say like creativity, lacking in just like not even not to the point where like I was expecting too much. It's just like stuff that just should be there. I felt it was lacking because when you when you hear the title is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, you expect more than three Doctor Stranges to show up, right?
well, yeah, and like also, okay. My thing about this movie is, like you said, this movie, and I don't know how much of this is on us for expecting too much, but like this is movie as far as Marvel is concerned. This is basically a more or less direct sequel to Spider-Man: Far From or No Way Home,
Yeah.
which like again I don't expect it to be at that level because that movie is in a class by itself. But at the same time, it's like I expected things to be way more bonkers than they actually were.
Yes.
Like it felt very limited for a movie that should have felt unlimited, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah, they only go to like three realities. I know they travel through a
Yeah.
bunch of others. They only really are in three realities. Like I
Right.
said, he only ever meets one other Doctor Strange. One other one is referenced, like briefly seen on screen, but he's dead already. And I just feel like this. I like Scarlet Witch being the villain, but I feel she shouldn't have been the villain for the entire movie. I feel there should have been some other entity like messing with the multiverse. So like he recruits her to help him fight whatever that was, and then like as the movie goes, she realizes she can use that for her own whims, and then goes from there. But I feel like I don't know, like I don't know. I just feel like it's or even just like with the idea of Scarlet Witch chasing them through different realities, that that should facilitate several different cool, interesting places for them to go. But no, they're just kind of in New York, but slightly different. It's like
Yeah.
okay,
Like yeah, and like and the thing too is like the build like I like the build up. It's like, okay, we have, this, we got our whole fortress, we got all these wizards. And I don't know, I love a good like, you know, everybody like basically for lack of a better term balloon tower defense setup.
mm,
And then you have one character just wreck
yeah,
everything. Like
yeah,
that's
that's cool.
always satisfying and good for power scaling. But it was like it kind of felt like after that happened, it kind of just we're kind of just playing, tag in the multiverse, but like not in a fun way.
Right.
And I think that's the thing. Like that was a great setup, but again, like when you only go to what one other universe really,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean, and again, the universe they go to, it's like basically the same, but not because it's
Yeah.
like, all right, like cool, we have like again, like the whole like Illuminati thing is it's okay, but it's kind of it feels like a reference just to have a reference. Like it
Yes.
doesn't actually add anything. It feels very
Like
like
that, it's one of those
we
things where, like,
can't.
it turned out just to be like a 10-minute reference, but the Illuminati could have been the villains of the movie. Like, it could have been, like,
Yeah,
a bigger part of a different movie, but they just were just here just to die. And,
yeah.
like, I push back on people saying it's actually, like, really that was just a Scarlet Witch movie featuring Doctor Strange. We're like, no, she's just the villain in Doctor Strange's movie. But, like, when you have scenes like that with when the Illuminati, being wasted by Scarlet Witch, which was awesome to watch,
It's kind of
you
wild.
just kind of forget which movie you're watching though when that does
That is
when that happens.
true.
I don't know, like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that whole sequence, it was cool to watch for the shock factor the first time,
Mhm.
but then as a movie, you're like, this is kind of just wasting time because it's like because it's like none of it actually matters. Like none of those characters are reflected in this reality at all. None of that. You know what I mean? It's like this
Mhm.
isn't gonna push anything because it's like okay, we've got either we've got characters that are again it's cool, but it's like you have basically Elseworld characters that we already have,
Mhm.
or characters that we're not going to have or not potentially anytime soon. I don't know how they're going to set things up, but it's like, you've got not Captain Marvel, not Captain America, not Doctor Strange. And it's like, oh, wow. Like, Mr. Fantastic. Again, it's really cool. And like, yeah, you've got like, they got John Krasinski. That's awesome. That's great. But it's also like, okay, but like he's not gonna add, like for as far as we like this doesn't add anything for the Fantastic Four in our world.
Mhm.
Also, he gets turned into Play-Doh, which is crazy, but like kind of like okay, so what? And then they have Patrick Stewart, which is awesome because they had him with
You
the
forgot
like the
about Black
'90s
Bolt.
cartoon. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they got him with the like the OG like '90s cartoon floating chair
Very
thing, which is
goofy, but
awesome,
I liked
and
it.
the
Yeah.
music playing,
Yeah.
which was also awesome. But just to like psychic break his neck later, like it's kind of like
Yeah.
that's cool, but like it's kind of that thing that I've always said about a lot of DC movies, where it's like you're just doing this to say I did this. This doesn't actually add anything to the story, so it kind of makes that like worthless.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of the thing this movie separates. It's like nothing really happened in this movie, if that makes
It's
sense.
also in this weird space where, like, I know this movie went through a bunch of turmoil in its development, but, like, the end product, although I liked a lot of it, quite a bit, at least, like bits and pieces of it quite a bit, it ended up really not being a sequel to anything that preceded it. Like, the ending of Doctor Strange had Mordo, you know, killing that one guy, being like, "No more sorcerers." End of, in that movie, and like that was kind of referenced, but as if he had already dealt with Mordo, and then it wasn't really a sequel to WandaVision either. Like, it was like that kind of led into it, but like that could have been delved in a little more. Like, I feel everything that happened with in Spider-Man No Way Home didn't really translate 100% either. It just kind of in this limbo where it's like, we're just gonna make a movie, and just, like, I don't know, I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna, like, because it is set in this grander universe, you should incorporate everything before going into it. And I know, like, none of the same people making it made those movies, but I don't know. I feel like, especially since this is also piggybacking off of Loki, which broke the multiverse, and this movie is just like a product of that, but that just not even really
Not
discussed.
really,
It's just
though.
it's in this weird space where, like, it's good enough as a movie, I guess, but in the grander scheme of things, it's just kind of there, which is not what I was expecting when I heard the title. Especially after Loki, I was like, "Oh, Multiverse of Madness is gonna be crazy." No, it's just kind of it's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's again like it kind of the thing where it's like I feel like we did a lot of things just to say we did, came back and nothing's really changed, and I guess that kind of bothers me because it's like, I mean, so what what was the not what was the point, but like, I mean, kind of what was the point, like I expected this like from like leaving this, it was gonna be very like you know, this is going to change the entire MCU in some way. And
Mm-hmm.
really, nothing's really changed. And I guess that was just a little disappointing because it feels like whenever you go on a movie from start to finish, you kind of like, you see what's changed and how that's going to affect going forward. But it's like the only thing that's really changed in this movie is that we know the multiverse exists, but wait, we already knew that. Okay, but um Wanda's powerful. Okay, we already knew that. But like, it's like I guess
Yeah.
it's kind of like we learned things about other universes, but we didn't learn anything about this one. Because again, even the stuff from WandaVision isn't really addressed, or really nothing really changes from that. Because it's like I know they like they talked about Westview a little bit, and then there's the scene at the end where Wanda kind of realizes like this whole pursuit to get her kids is not really working, and she's becoming essentially a monster in order to get everything she destroyed. But it's like, but at the same time, it's like I feel like she already knew that at the end of WandaVision. So like I don't think that's like new.
Well, technically, at the very end of WandaVision, she was meditating with the Darkhold, and like her kids were shouting out at her, "Help us," which I guess was maybe the Darkhold manipulating her to think they were in danger. But
Right.
I was under the impression that there was going to be some multi-dimensional being like going after them, but that didn't happen. So I don't know.
Yeah. It feels like the people who made WandaVision and the people who made this movie did not compare notes at all,
Which
because it's
is
kind of just
kind of the case, actually.
yeah, which like I understand there's multiple products and like things are not always super, especially as big as the MCU is getting, it's not as easy to like hold everyone's hand through it, but
Mm-hmm.
it feels, especially with COVID and stuff too.
Oh,
But it
sure,
just
yeah.
kind of felt like, huh? Did we miss something? It just does. I don't know. Like it felt the way WandaVision ended did not match the way that Wanda's character was in this movie
Mm-hmm.
to me. And I think for me, that's kind of an issue because it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
But it
like
is what it is.
yeah, like I liked the movie overall. I would gladly watch it again, but like as a movie, I enjoy it. But as far as like knowing what Doctor Strange can do, knowing what all these characters can do, I was just wanting a lot more out of it. But
Hmm.
what can you do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, number 8.
Number 8 for me. This was a funny one, but I saw the Guardians Christmas
Same,
special,
actually,
and
same
that
as
was
number
pretty
8. Yeah.
good. Yeah, that was pretty good. It was just good enough to be like
Uh,
better than some things, but again, it's only 45 minutes, so it's not like amazing. But
very cute. It was yeah,
it
fun.
was, it was, it was unexpected. I thought it was funny because they were like, "Oh, let's go to Earth." I'm like, "Why are they going to Earth?" To get Kevin Bacon. We're just gonna steal Kevin Bacon. I'm like, and my first thought, the funniest thing is, my first thought is like, why didn't you just bring Quill with you?
He'll think ahead.
Like I know that's the point. It wouldn't be nearly as fun if they did, but it was just funny because it was like, you're just gonna steal a human.
uh,
And also, and again, not to poke holes, but it also kind of made this whole thing feel a little unnecessary because, like, I know they're saying he's like busy leading the Ravagers or whatever, but it's like you could have just gone to Earth for a few days just to like,
they
like I know his mom's dead, but like,
they were surprising
I mean,
him. You know, they
I know, but like, I would have like if I would like legitimately if that was me and I was feeling bad, maybe I would have just gone to Earth for a few days,
well, it's
like,
also a thing like he. I mean, at the end of the special, you realize like he's not actually feeling bad. Like it's not actually a big deal. They're just reading too much into something that isn't even there. But
yeah, I guess. But
but yes, like just watching Drax and Mantis, just 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 exploring New York in the way they would
Yes,
was very fun, and chasing down
that
Kevin
was
Bacon was
hilarious. No, this
it was
like I
fun.
always liked their characters. This made me like Mantis even
Oh
more
yeah.
because like Mantis was always funny, but this was really
Uh,
funny.
you're
It's
an
like,
actor.
yeah, like yeah, that's gross. Actors like they're just going. I That's a running gag, and not just this. That's like the more shows and TV that I watch, that's always a thing I see. Like, there's always like a scene where it's like they're like, "What are you, an actor? You're an like you would never be an actor. Look at you. You're not even good looking. Like yeah,
Mhm.
like you're just dissing each other so hard, and it's just like wow." I forgot I was watching some show. I totally forgot what show it was, but they were absolutely railing each other with how like they were just like you're actors. Like first of all, your haircut's stupid. You don't have the face. Like you don't have the face for it. You're not good at memorizing lines. You couldn't do this. It's like I could measure up. Come on, but you really think this could be an actor? Come on, like they're just going in on this. And it's
is
so
it
funny because like
is it Brooklyn Nine
obviously it's a
Nine?
TV.
No,
That was another one. That was a different one, but
different.
yes,
Okay,
they did do that also.
okay.
But no, I forgot what
Mm.
show this was. But they were. I forgot. I think it was. I don't. But yeah, I mean, I love whenever anytime they do stuff like that.
Uh,
They're just having fun. So I love it.
yeah, but it was very cute. Like it's just it was just a very it just put me in the Christmas spirit. Like it was very very good.
Pretty much. And like they had the really cool Christmas lights. I love how they steal the candy cane
uh,
and and also, you kind of forget the Guardians are crazy because, like, I remember the cops show up and like just Drax just throws the
yeah,
police car. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, Drax is like kind of strong.
yeah.
You kind of forget that, but it's just like he almost probably he's like, yeah, it's like this doesn't look like a man to you. They're just like, no, I thought not. Like, just no. Mm. Also, I like how Kevin Bacon's just like there. It's just like, yeah, why
Mm.
not? Like, because when I put the credits in, they said, and introducing Kevin
I
Bacon. I was
love
like,
that.
I was like, oh, this
He's
is
been
gonna be
acting for
fun.
40 years. We're introduced. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great. I was like, yeah, let's go. This is gonna be fun. Like, and it was great. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. I
Mm,
have okay. Do we know what's up with Gamora? Is she like
we
not part of their team or what?
well
Like I know like the real one's dead, but like did they keep other Dimension
at the
Gamora
end of
or
Endgame, like Quill said, their next mission is to go look for her. So I guess they haven't found her yet.
okay.
She's in the Guardians 3 trailer, so I guess they will find
Right.
her. I don't know.
Well, that was my thing. I was so confused because I was just like, wait, is she with them? Did she go her own way? Did she go back to 2014? Like, I'm so confused. You know what I mean? Like, it was so,
uh,
I don't know. I'm still kind of upset they killed her. I know they had to, but like, I don't know. It felt sad.
did they have to? I mean, they did, but like,
I mean, I guess to make the Soul Stone thing work, I guess so. But like, I don't know. I mean, they didn't have to kill Widow either, but I guess it felt that one felt more okay because it was like, okay, she's been in it longer. Gamora's only been in like a handful of things, so it's like,
yeah, it'd definitely be weird if you got through Infinity War and Endgame with no one actually dying.
yeah,
But I don't know. The ones that did die was just a little. I don't know, like Vision. We didn't get to see him do anything.
you know.
Whatever.
I mean, at least they kind of brought him back for WandaVision though, so that
Yeah,
was
and there's rumors
okay.
of a White Vision thing
Yeah,
happening.
no,
So
that's yeah. Granted, I mean, it's not the same though.
it,
Like,
it is
well,
though. You,
but he doesn't have the same memories though,
I
right?
think he does. I don't know. They'll figure it out.
Maybe he does. I don't know. Like what? What? Wanda's just got like a like a hard drive. Like it
He
just
might. He
that
might.
would be that would actually be hilarious
Mm.
if Wanda had like a flash drive or like she has him in the cloud or
Uh,
something, and they can just
and
upload.
I mean, in the comics, a lot of his personality is modeled after Wonder Man, and Wonder Man is gonna have his own show soon. So like, that could be something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
They just get Paul Bettany to play Wonder Man. Because why not?
Mhm.
You're like Vision. Oh yeah, but no. But yeah. But yeah, no, it was definitely a fun little short. It was I don't know, I kinda like that. I feel like they should do more of those, just kind of like random pop ins of different people. They don't have to all be holiday based, but just like, just
Just special
hey,
presentation,
45
40 to
minutes of
yeah, 40 50
yeah,
minutes of
whatever.
yeah. Please,
Why not?
that's what comics do all the time. One shots, yeah.
Exactly.
They did like 15-minute one shots, kind of like earlier in the MCU, phase like 1, 2, and 3, but then just kind of stopped doing that.
Did they really?
Yeah, there's one about Coulson. There's
Oh
one
yeah.
about Iron Man villains in prison. Um, I know there's a couple others, but there's yeah, they're like 10,
Yeah,
15
no.
minute little things
I
though. So
I did like the Coulson one was one of my
mm,
favorites. I did like that one a
mm.
lot. I miss Coulson. I kind of
Yeah,
forgot Coulson died so early.
yeah.
But he
Agents
got
of
his own
Shield
show
is a
out of it though.
thing. So yeah.
Yeah, forgot about
Hmm.
that. Oh man. Never
Um,
saw that show. Oh
no,
well.
probably never will. But whatever.
Probably not.
Number
All
7.
right. Number 7
Mm-hmm.
is She-Hulk, which you also noted earlier. Again, kind of like just resetting earlier, it felt good, but it felt very much like the show made me interested in the not action stuff, and then kind of went away from that at the end of the show,
Mm-hmm.
which was like I know they were trying to make it more exciting, more action packed, but it's like I kind of just wanted to know more about like like the lawyer life, and also like not the I won't say like I kind of liked that the challenges that came with her being She-Hulk, like how like I know this sounds stupid, but I don't know. I thought it was really interesting when they had the whole like wedding thing
Mm.
and like you can be at your wedding but not a She-Hulk. But it's like at first it was like, oh, you're depriving. But then I thought about it, I was like, if I had a wedding and someone was a Hulk, I would also be not okay with that. So I was kind of like, yeah, like looking back, I'm like, no, the friend, how she went about it was not okay, but her point was valid. Like,
Mm.
because it is her wedding. Like, I don't want my, like, it's like having a celebrity at your wedding. You don't want a celebrity at your wedding. That's not your wedding anymore.
Is it? This might sound like a weird, possibly kind of sexist criticism. Is it weird that I feel like the show? I'm gonna say it. The show like it's interesting that the show made a big deal about a bunch of guys not wanting to date Jen, but wanting to date She-Hulk when
Yes.
Jen is a very attractive woman. Like the show didn't,
Well,
they didn't do anything to like make her look disheveled or look bad. She's just Jen, and
okay. Here's
she's
my,
pretty attractive.
well,
I don't know.
yeah. Well, the thing is, well, one, we're all on TV. Everybody's good looking.
Yeah,
So like that you kind of have to look at that lens sometimes
fair
when you
enough.
see something like this because it's like because there's always the what she's the nerdy girl. I was like, dude, she's gorgeous. You know
She's
what I
pretty
mean?
with the glasses off. It's like she's fine with them
Well,
on.
no, even with the glasses on, like you know
Yeah,
what I
she's
mean?
fine with them on. Like, what are
You're
you
like,
doing?
bro, that's a 10 everywhere. In real life, that's a 10, but
Yeah.
obviously it's a TV show. So it's like, you
Four.
have to pretend, like all those like high school movies where it's like, I'm just the nerdy girl. And it's like, Vanessa Hudgens or something. You're just
uh,
like, really? Like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? They'll never
uh,
go for a guy like also you on like, the cover of like Sports Illustrated. Like,
mhm.
it's just like you kind of just have to like, okay, it's like, it's the theater. You have to ignore it. It's
Yeah,
like, all right, cool. Like you'll
yeah.
be the, but like, but no, even then, I mean, not only is she like, but also, I mean, she's a giant, like super successful lawyer too. So
Mm.
like, obviously she's got it going on, but like, I think and it wasn't really okay. And I think they could have done a better job about doing this, but I think they should have made the guys more interested in like the I guess clout or popularity for
Mm.
aspect more. I think that would have helped a lot because like I think that would have made it more because again, if she was just a normal person, it doesn't matter really what you look like if you're not famous. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I know like the one guy. I don't remember any of the guys' names,
Nope.
but the guy who ended up showing up again at the ending
Mm.
somehow. Like that guy was a good example because he felt like he was more about like, oh, you're famous, that's so cool, like you're She-Hulk, and I think that was a good. I think that would have been a better angle to make them all kind of come from.
Mm.
Like, you're just a regular, you're just a basic regular person. Like, yeah, you're still beautiful, but like, she's not famous and or a superhero, so like they
Yeah.
don't care. I think they should have made that more the argument, but it's also that like lens of like, I mean, I guess like I don't know. I mean, it's I don't know, but I think it's also a thing just trying to relate to people because even though not everyone's on TV, I feel like most people, guys and girls have felt that like, oh, you're just you kind of vibe. And you're like,
uh,
oh, that hurts,
yeah, yeah. Like I'm sure it happens all the time in real life, where like very attractive people just they're just normal, so they don't get attention. Whereas
Yeah.
you know 8 foot tall green green
Right.
lady is the new hot stuff. It's
Yeah.
just yeah.
May or may, I love that she just picks the guy up and walks with him.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, yeah,
I
that's
get it. Okay.
you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm sure, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, how many girls can do that? It's like,
Yeah.
Jen can't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, like overall, like I said before, I like the show. I like most of the characters quite a bit, but just I don't know. I just wanted a little more from it. But
Yeah, agreed. I feel like it was trying to, I feel like it was not proper. I feel like it didn't do a good enough job in the beginning balancing the Hulk part with the she part.
mm,
And by the end of it, you were just expecting it kind of just be about Jen, and then it did try to cram a lot of She-Hulk stuff in. It was like, now I'm confused of what you want.
right.
But they had a Daredevil at the end, so it was cool, and
Yeah.
I really liked their dynamic.
Mm-hmm. I like how at the end they're just dating. Like yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like again, like who cares? Like why not? Like it gives them, it just makes it easier to use these characters later if they're just together.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like they had a good, it didn't feel forced. They had a good like banter back and forth kind of. At least
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think. So. I think it
Oh
didn't
yeah.
feel forced. I guess so. Like, because like some of the ones, it's like, oh my gosh, you're the worst, but I liked you. It was they were kind of like, I don't like you because of you're against me, but you're kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like you try not to like somebody essentially.
But yeah, like I would definitely
But
watch more of it. I definitely want
oh
to see
yeah,
more of this character, but that was fine.
could have been better. Could have been better.
My number 7 is one I don't actually know if you've seen. The Werewolf by Night special
No,
presentation.
I didn't say that one.
This is honestly, I think it might have actually been the first special presentation they did, but this is the special presentation that like got me sold on the idea of them, like feeling like they kind of need to do more of these. I would argue in lieu of 6 episode seasons going forward, like because something like Moon Knight, which we'll get to later, I feel like could have benefited from being more concise. Could have benefited from
Yeah,
being not necessarily movie budget, but still didn't need to be as long winded as it was. A solid like 50 minute to an hour, just one off thing that introduces this new world and new characters is kind of the way to go. Because this special introduced a ton of cool things. It introduced Elsa Bloodstone, who's a character I don't know much about, but I know like if you're building up Midnight Suns or other like team ups in the like you know like monster hunting slash mythical world like that, like Blade, Moon Knight, all that. Like she's a kind of pivotal part in that. Introduced Man Thing, who's a very interesting character. Do you know anything about him?
man thing.
Yes, he's disc.
It's
He's
terrifying.
he looks almost exactly like Swamp Thing, but I think he was actually introduced like a year before Swamp Thing came out.
Really?
Yeah, he's like a big swamp, gross monster thing, and like his
Oh,
his like
we're
main
looking at
power is on top of being a big. I think he's also technically a super soldier serum guy went wrong or something. I don't know. There's a lot of those running around in the '60s.
tell me about it.
But like his thing is like if he touches you with like ill intent, you burst into flames.
What?
Or that
Oh,
happened once in the special.
that is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Oh my god.
right. So yeah, like this,
That
like
they should.
the premise of this show of this presentation was some like I think it was the Bloodstone clan like got together this group of monster hunters to go into this maze to go kill the monster for sport, monster being man thing, um, and whoever wins gets this gem and also like the riches of the Bloodstone clan, and obviously also Bloodstone wants in on that, um, and one of the members of the troop is a werewolf. And
Casually.
yeah, and like he's friends. He was actually like previously friends with Man Things. He helps him escape, but then the werewolf gets captured, and like him and Elsa help him get broken out. It's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of just cool people doing fun, kind of camping in certain ways because like it is all I haven't said this yet. It is completely in black and white, so it has like vibes of like old old like horror movies from like the 40s and 50s that are in that like completely black and white, like old Frankenstein, old werewolf, just those like kinds of movies. And even though like the stuff they're doing is cool, it still has that kind of campy vibe to it, which I really like. um, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun, like especially watching it around Halloween season. It was a lot of fun. I recommend it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think you're right. Like have these like was like 45 minutes, an hour
It
shorts.
was close to an hour, yeah.
Okay, so like not a movie, but almost a movie
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. Like I honestly, I feel like those would be probably better than a series, just because all these every single pretty much every single series that Marvel's brought out has felt rushed and too long at the same time.
Exactly. Yep.
And I feel like they don't know how to like I feel like it's kind of like you have someone who doesn't know how to like they don't know how to like pace or how to pause in their story. They're kind of just we talk until we run out of things to say, and then you run out of things to say off time, so you
Right.
have to fluff it out instead of just like, hey, just go for as long as it takes,
Mm-hmm.
preferably not 2 hours, like max like an hour 15 maybe,
Yeah.
and then that's it. We'll go from there. Because honestly, for a lot of these shows, you could take like, you know, you could make them like an hour 15 and get
Yeah.
the point across still.
Yeah. Because this introduced a lot of fun characters. This whole new world. This whole new like mythical lore that's just been there in the Marvel universe forever, um, and just like in a brand new style that we hadn't seen in the MCU before. It was just a very fun, very concise way of doing it. And like you said, because these characters are monster hunters, and like the majority of the time was them either fighting monsters or fighting each other. There wasn't a lot of time for just talking and exposition and stuff. So like, here are these characters. They're gonna do cool things for an hour. Go. It was fun. So yeah, I recommend it,
Okay,
and I want them
okay,
to do more of these. You know, in lieu of of shows. So
okay. All right, number
yep.
6 is one you also mentioned earlier. This was where I got Doctor Strange too.
Mm.
So yeah, I had it originally higher, and then I kind of thought about it, like when I was making this list, and I was kind of like, what did I get from this movie?
Mm-hmm.
And although there were some cool, like one thing I will say about Doctor Strange movies, two for two, the visuals are always really
Oh
cool.
yeah.
I still think like that musical note, mini duel, it probably should have been a little longer. I know there was that conspiracy that was copied from something else, but I mean,
Yeah.
what else would a music? Well, my thing is, one, what else would a musical duel really look like? I mean, you're fighting with music notes that are like, you know, but whatever. But it looked really cool. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was really cool. I also like the idea of like, I kind of like Wong was, I think, was a good character. I think it was a little, not that I wanted Wong to die, but I feel like Wong kind of being around near the end was kind of random because
Eh.
it was just kind of like, you're still here. How are you like either not dead or like not at least unconscious at this point? I don't know. It was kind of just, he was also there. I was like, okay, sure, but like, I love me some Wong, but I feel like Wong is better in spurts, not just around the whole time.
Yeah, he fell off a cliff and was
Yes,
fine.
like I get. Well, I mean, like you could always say magic, but like also it was like, all right, you could have like fell off a cliff and then we like found you later or something.
uh,
Like you didn't have to like, I'm still here. Like it felt kind of one unnecessary,
mhm.
because like I think less is more, but not in a bad way with Wong, because it's like, it's like, you don't use your secret weapon, like, it's like using too much sauce. It's like the sauce is great, but there is such thing as too much sauce. Like
Mhm.
you use it as needed, but and also, I don't know, the Illuminati thing was just kind of annoying because it was kind of like this awesome thing we built, because it was in like all the trailers they were building up to. It was this huge thing, and they all immediately get wasted, and it's just kind of like half of them you didn't care for, because it was like, I didn't care for, not Captain Marvel or not.
Mhm.
I mean, Captain Carter was. I guess Captain Carter would have been more interesting if we didn't already have What If.
Right.
I feel like What If made Captain Carter not even needed in this, because again there was two men. Like I was really cool to see Black Bolt,
Mhm.
although it would have been cooler if he actually did anything and didn't just get
He did something in the flashback.
unalived.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then the whole thing, Mr. Fantastic, like I said earlier, like it's cool, but like if this doesn't affect the real Fantastic Four movies, that feels like a complete waste.
Mhm.
And kind of the same thing with, as much as I love Sir Patrick Stewart and just the X-Men nostalgia that came hovering in, again, if it's not connected to the real MCU version of the X-Men, it kind of feels like a waste. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like, why do this? Like it felt like forced fan service essentially
Yeah.
for 10 minutes.
It's one of those things where like I almost kind of wish it wasn't in any of the trailers because it wasn't even like that much of the movie, but
No, it was like
also
10 minutes.
like the fact that it was in the trailers but like they were still kind of secretive of what exactly it was going to be was I felt unnecessary. I don't know. Like it also didn't help that the movie is like just barely over 2 hours long, so there isn't even really that much you can show in trailers without spoiling stuff. So it just, I don't know. This movie needed to be at least 20 minutes longer. I know Sam Raimi doesn't make long movies, but like sometimes you got to make just a little, just a little bit longer. But whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I don't know. It felt like a movie that had a lot of hype going in. And again, I don't know how much of this was just on us expecting too much, if that's fair to say, but it just felt like, there's a lot of hype for this. It's like, oh man, like Doctor Strange and
Mm.
like, the multiverse. We just did this with Spider-Man. This is gonna be insane and all this stuff. And like, oh, and it's like,
Kinda.
did we expect too much? But that's like, did we though?
I don't
Because
think
like
so. Like
I think that's fair, especially the way you're setting up this movie to appear.
right. Like I think I thought I was expecting a reasonable amount of stuff to be in it, and like I got some of it, but not most of it. I don't know. Like I'm not gonna be one of those weirdos that like argues with people about the quality of this movie because I liked it. But if you liked it or disliked it, I don't care. Like I obviously see valid points either way, but like this movie divided a lot of people somehow, and I'm like, it's a
Mm-hmm.
too fine of a movie to be that divisive. Like it's fine, you know.
Yeah, like one way I kind of described, like, because I have a friend who really, 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 really liked it, and I think that's fine. But it was like one way I described it was kind of like, imagine that you got a like they were doing like how the Timmy Turner they had the Channel Chasers
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if they just did one show. That's kind of how I felt
Yeah.
about this movie.
Mm.
It's like this was like I was expecting lots of changing, lots of different versions, and like an army of strangers showing up, kind of like almost Into the Spider Verse, almost kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it was kind of just slightly different universe. But like, really, you didn't even need to go into the multiverse at all.
You didn't.
Like that was kind of the thing. It was like you're kind of just avoiding Wanda for this
I mean,
movie, and
they went there by accident in the first place. So
that's
that's
kind of what I'm saying. It's like it didn't really make sense why they went there, and then like the only reason they didn't go back was because I don't know how to. I conveniently don't know how to get back, and it's
mm-hmm.
like, okay, well let's just jump to universe to universe. No, we can't do that because I tried for a million years to get back to the universe and it never worked, which sad, kind of sucks,
Yeah.
but also like between you and Strange, you can't figure it out. I mean, can't like. Well, my thing is like, she has this power. Strange has all the magic in the universe, basically. So it's like between the two of you, there should be some way to like manipulate her abilities. You would
Yeah, you
think,
think.
but
Uh,
that doesn't.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
just saying.
Yeah, it was. I liked it. I thought it was good enough.
Yeah.
I like. Let me back that up. I thought it was fine. I liked it, but there was definitely it was definitely lacking quite a bit. I felt it
Mm-hmm.
needed to should have done a lot more. It just kind of didn't. But
Yeah.
oh well.
Quick question: do you think Wanda was too strong in this movie?
She's she's about as strong as Wanda is in the comics.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, okay, it's not.
Doctor
I'm
Strange
not
should have been
saying that
stronger.
like
Doctor Strange should have been stronger. That's my main hang up with it.
that. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. That kind of works for me because
Yeah.
like it felt like she was dogging everyone. Which, granted, again, Scarlet Witch is no joke,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it was like, wow, like we're just all living in Wanda's world, kind of, and
Yep.
I felt like a little too broken. Especially, it was almost kind of like the opposite of the whole like the villain when he's a playable character thing. Because
Mm.
it was kind of like, okay, Wanda was strong, but like this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like she's like unreal. How like I know she had the dark orb and all that, but like it was just like this is unreal.
Mm.
Like we don't have there's not because again there's nothing you can do about it. It was just like we're all just living in Wanda's world.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, Wanda is known to have some incredible feats and abilities, but it's still just it feels like anything we like. If Wanda ever shows up in anything, it should be a wife. Like essentially, is kind of how they set this movie up because it's like if like Infinity War happened now, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, even before she became Scarlet Witch, she almost 1v1 Thanos.
Right.
So,
Which just makes sense, but like but there's like I guess that was like Thanos without the stone, so it's not as big a deal. But like this makes me feel like he'd be like outside the universe. She's like, "What stones?" And then it's just empty gauntlet. He's like,
right.
"What?" And then boom, Thanos gone.
Uh,
Like I don't know. It just she feels insane now. And it's
mm-hmm.
just like it makes me feel like afraid to have her in other things now because it's just like there's nothing on her level even close lately.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, we'll see how they handle that later.
yeah, that's kind of what I wonder if there'll be like a power drop if the Darkhold leaves her or something.
That's
I don't know.
that's probably how they'll explain it. Honestly.
Yeah, because I
Because
was just like, dude, this
because
is
the
like,
Darkhold power is destroying every universe. Somehow she's weaker.
yeah,
Ugh.
I don't know,
I don't know.
but
It's, yeah. My number 6 was Moon Knight.
yeah,
Um, I like the show quite a bit. It did fall into the trap you mentioned earlier of there was just a lot of talking, a lot of not a lot happening in the first like episode like
yeah,
2 through 4. There just kind of was a lot of stuff happening. A lot of it was kind of confusing. I liked I liked Oscar Isaac's performance so much. He was so good about balancing like the different
It was
characters
like,
felt like
yes,
different characters.
yes.
Um, just the way they talked, the way they acted, just everything. Just I really like the costumes, just everything about Moon Knight himself. Like, generally speaking, I really liked. Um, I thought Harrow was that his name? The villain Harrow. I thought he
Something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought he was fine. Like obviously Ethan Hawke is an amazing actor, so like his
yeah.
like he had this presence to him that I enjoyed, but just I don't know. Like I feel like especially at the very end when it's just he's they do the Marvel thing of he just has basically Moon Knight powers. Yeah, okay.
I'm you, but slightly different.
Yep.
Oh, never seen that before. Like every Marvel thing ever.
Yeah. And then like when he gets the powers of not Anubis, who is it? Khonshu? No, that's Moon Knight's. Oh dear, they said it like 8 million times throughout the show. What is the name of his avatar? Um,
Oh god.
ah,
Oh my
oh
gosh.
man. But
Hold on. Hold on. Ah, I forget. I know what it is, but isn't it? Wait, it's not Anubis, right?
it's
Is it?
not Anubis.
Hold on.
Amit. Amit.
Yes.
Yeah,
As
like
soon as you said it, I just read it. And I was like, crap.
when he gets the like Amit's powers, he's able to just destroy the other Egyptian avatars. It actually seems a
Yes.
little dumb. Like you can't just have.
Like they didn't. Honestly, the other ones didn't even need to be in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Like it felt very stupid because they were just kind of there. They didn't have any idea what. Like you guys are supposed to be in charge. You have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind. I'm just kind of like this feels very underwhelming. And then of course, yeah, they easily get toppled as soon as. And it's just kind of like, all right, that was underwhelming, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
But like I said, everything with Moon Knight himself was delving into his
Yeah.
that hospital sequence. So that was very interesting. Everything with the um,
Hippo.
yeah, everything with that was I thought was phenomenal.
Oh, so
Um,
great.
just like the mystery of what was happening with him throughout. I like the girlfriend character, like wife, technically.
Layla.
Yeah,
She was his wife, right?
yes,
Yeah, they were
yeah.
married, I'm pretty
I
sure.
liked her fine enough. She got a little annoying at times, but she was overall fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Could have been way worse.
oh yeah, could have been so much worse. um, I do like how there wasn't like an overwhelming amount of characters in this show because it's kind of an issue I have with something like Falcon and Winter Soldier is there's 20 characters I need to keep up with. Whereas
And they're not all interesting.
no, half of them are not even close. Only a quarter of
Makes it
them
a
I
lot harder to
keep up.
keep up with them.
Yeah. Whereas in here, there's like four if you count Steven and Mark. Because it's like the villain, wife, Layla, and then Moon Knight. There's not really many other named characters you need to really keep up with. So that's cool. Um, Khonshu, I guess, if he counts.
Yeah, but like, first of all, Kachu was kind of the worst.
A little bit.
like, like just generally, it was kind of just like I feel no reason to like want to help you. You seem like you're just like it wasn't even about him. It was like okay, we got to save the Earth, but like Kachu kind of can go.
He's like, okay,
Like
if you help me, I'll promise not to inherit your body ever again. And he's like, well, you have a third altar that I can take over. Okay, Fine.
It's just ridiculous. But yeah, it was. But no, really. Again, I like. I do. I will say, it kind of suffered a little bit for some of the other Marvel shows had, where it's like the mystery is the most captivating part, and then
Mhm.
once that's out of the bag, it kind of runs out of gas. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I felt with Moon Knight, because like for me, the finale was kind of the worst episode, if that makes sense.
I can see
Like
it. Yeah.
because it's kind of like especially starting out. Like starting out, I'm hooked. I'm like, okay, what is up with this guy?
Hmm.
He wakes up, and then you find out, oh my gosh, he can fight when he does this, that, and then you find out halfway through, oh, you're not even you. He's you. That's wild. Like that's crazy. That's so interesting, and you really get before and all this stuff, and then once it all gets, they have this really big emotional scene, and then the whole thing with the hospital, and then once all that's figured out, it's like, all right, back to the kind of plot I wasn't paying attention to,
Yeah.
and then it's just giant gray, clearly CGI figure versus other giant gray, clearly CGI figure, and it's like, all right, like, but I don't know. It just, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was really liking it. It kind of ran out of gas. It made it across the finish line, but it was definitely running out of gas by the finale. So,
Yeah. But Oscar Isaac's performance, like, it
oh,
kept me going the
dude,
whole time.
crushed it.
So, but yeah, like
Played two.
the action
Good.
sequences in general were very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like what mattered overall, I thought was very solid. It just it was just treading water a little bit, especially like during the middle third ish. Um,
Yeah, I like this character, and I'm really excited to see how they incorporate it with other characters that
mm,
I know I like, because I think that's going to help a lot. Because I feel
oh yeah.
like that was the biggest thing. Like you like Moon Knight stuff, but you can only see Moon Knight stuff while indulging other things you might not care for. So
Right.
when you put it somewhere where it's like it's like you put him, it's like that one friend you like, but he only hangs out with these other friends that you don't like. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, if I could just get you to hang out, it'd be great.
Yeah, if we can get him, teaming up with, you know, Blade, Ghost Rider, Nelson Bloodstone,
Oh
whoever
yeah.
else, like, good,
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah. Um, yeah. You're number five, I think.
Top five.
Top
Yep.
five. Yeah.
Okay. So number five, I have Thor 4.
Same. Yep.
So, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So again, one of those movies that was not bad, but again, I kind of left this movie feeling like, what happened not that what matters, but like, what did anything really change?
So the difference between this and Doctor Strange for me was I went in to like we said, I went into Doctor Strange expecting it to just mess up everything. I was
Yeah.
expecting I thought reasonably expecting so much out of this to change the greater MCU, and it didn't really even do that.
No.
Whereas Thor, I was just like, oh, there's another one of these. It'll be fun, and it was
Yeah, it
fun.
was
Like,
fun.
they like, yes, nothing really changed the greater MCU outside of Thor having a kid. I guess if that even really matters, but
But like,
but like, I wasn't expecting it to be some groundbreaking, world-changing event. So it just being a very fun, pretty funny action movie, like I had a blast. So I can't knock it down too far.
no, it's not. No, it's fair. It's like fair to be where it is. It's kind of more just like, again, because again, I remember going into this, I was like, I expect the second best Thor movie, and in my opinion, I got that. I know some people think this movie is the worst, which I'm like,
I
nah.
can hear arguments of the things like obviously Gore should have been in the movie way more. Like
Yes.
he killed every scene he was in, with literally and figuratively. He just visually, I thought he was very interesting. Um, I thought his motivations were very strong. I thought his relationship with Thor could have worked long better if they actually got to interact more. Um, I feel like there's so many things about like there's so many things that should have been explored more in this movie, but instead it was just filled with a lot of jokes that didn't really land. There was a lot of them that
Yeah.
did, but some that just kind of didn't really work. I thought, um, but so people who complain about it being not serious enough for what it is, the serious stuff was either lampshaded or not explored enough. Um, I get that, but I still had a blast. So
Yeah, it was it was a fun movie. Like it did like that was done well. There were some things that I was kind of like that doesn't really make sense, but and let's roll with it because like for me the whole Jane thing was kind of one of my bigger issues because it
yeah,
was like cool she's back but like she's dying but she's Thor but she's still dying and I was like
Thor
wait
is
what.
killing her, even though it said earlier that that it was said that Mjolnir gives you healing abilities. I guess not this healing. It actually he
I
makes this worse somehow. I don't know.
I mean I feel like if they had have just said it doesn't work for natural causes, like just blanket
I
statement,
guess.
maybe. But like, because there are like things like that in like other continuities I've heard, like
Mm-hmm.
with like some things. It's like, oh, this heals all unnatural death, but like cancer
Yeah,
doesn't count. You know what I
because
mean?
even like even Odin just dies of old age. So
Right. So it's like, okay, so like clearly there's like, some types of restrictions to make things like the balance of the world natural. Because,
didn't
if you're not immortal, so it's like,
side tangent didn't I haven't watched the first Thor movie in a while, but didn't he go into Odin's sleep, a thing that's supposed to keep him alive for way longer in the first movie? Isn't that like a big
yeah,
plot of that movie?
yep,
Yet he dies like 5 years later.
yep.
Okay, whatever, it's fine.
And if you went through the stress of what he went through,
Yeah,
it's one thing to watch it, but if you had to be in Thor 2, you'd want to.
fair.
No, let me. Oh my god. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
funny.
But no, yeah, that is a thing. But I don't really know what happened there. I mean, it worked well for the story of Thor Ragnarok, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, it was a little wild that the whole thing that's killing her. Like it. I kind of want. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
clearly Natalie Portman did not like want to like stick around, obviously,
Yeah.
which is fine. But like I thought it would have been better if she had been given Thor powers, but then she got killed by Gore. I thought that would have been you still get the same result,
Mm-hmm.
off the screen, and also I feel like that's a big motivation for Thor to like. Not that Thor hasn't already felt enough loss, but like it, I don't know, brings more out of him. I don't know, kind of just
Yeah,
I don't know. That's just
especially
an idea. And it makes
especially
Gore pretty even more evil. So
yeah, because in all the trailers it was showing that big god city, and it's like, oh, Gore's gonna show up here and just kill everybody. Nope, it turns
yes,
out Thor killed a lot of people instead. There, it's like that's weird. Okay,
yeah,
I guess.
Gore just kind of. I
Okay.
mean, like it felt, yeah, like I don't like I wasn't expecting like a March on the Jedi Temple kind of slaughter, but like I was expecting him to kind of do a little more work than he did. He only killed like one god, right?
Well, on screen,
Right,
yes. There's
on
other like
screen.
there was that little like sequence of Thor like scrolling through all the other reports of him killing people, but
Right. But like you didn't really see that. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? It's like that scene in The Incredibles where it's just like you're destroyed and you're
yeah,
just like, I mean, that's not the same as actually seeing it. But
yeah. Um, but yeah, I definitely again just like every other Marvel thing, I definitely wanted more out of it. I think, but not the amount I wanted more or expected more out of this was way lower than the amount of stuff I wanted out of like She-Hulk or Doctor Strange.
mhm.
So, like I can't knock it too far. Plus, Guns N' Roses is one of the greatest things ever made. So like if this movie being full of Guns N' Roses songs is it's gonna be a top 5 regardless. So
Fair enough. He likes what he
Yeah.
likes.
um, so yeah. Anything else you want to say about before we move on?
Oh, it was pretty good. I am kind of, I won't say worried, but kind of like, okay, what are we gonna? Are we doing Thor 5?
I
Because
think Taika Waititi is done. I don't.
there's nowhere really to
Nah,
go from here
I don't
at
think.
all.
Like, I think you have to go a completely different direction, or for it to be.
Like,
If it's gonna be like a send off movie, you don't want it to be this tone.
no, like I feel like you can kind of just let Thor go at this point. Like, and
It
that's
said
kind of one
Thor
of the
will return,
reasons.
though. It said he'll return.
I know Thor will return, but like I feel like that was again that was one of the other arguments I had for like James. I think Thor would just pack it up after this.
Yeah.
He's just like, look, life's too hard. I'm done. Like not in like a depressed way, but kind of like a I'm done being a hero kind of way. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of you know he would just go and then just rule Asgard, I guess, or I guess
New Asgard.
or just retire.
Yeah.
Like not even rule Asgard. He'd let Valkyrie do it. He'll just like retire and just kind of be like the celebrity or something of
Mm-hmm.
Asgard. I don't know.
Yeah. Number 4.
Oh, for me. Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Thor was your
Yeah.
5 also. Sorry. Okay, number 4, I have Black Adam.
If you told me at the beginning of this year that I would have Black Adam above Thor: Love and Thunder, I
Right?
would shoot you in the face. Like, who are you? What is this? Like, I don't.
And yet,
I,
here we
what?
are.
I like it more than Thor: Love and Thunder. What the
I
hell?
do.
This movie
I do.
rules.
I
What?
genuinely do. Like, oh man, okay, yeah, no, that is incredibly correct. Because again, this movie came out, you were just like, oh no,
Why are they making
this
this?
had train Vic written all over it. Like, Dwayne Johnson's been fighting for this. Why? Like, this is so like Black Adam is like the 12th DC villain I would think of if you asked me to name them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even connected to Shazam really, like in any way in this movie. There's no reason for this to exist whatsoever other than for Dwayne Johnson to get to be a superhero.
Yep.
Which I don't agree with because again, Black Adam at no point was like a hero.
No.
Black Adam
Far
has been a
from it.
villain 100% of the
Far
time.
from it.
Like this,
However, as far as this movie goes, they kind of pulled it off.
I know that's the thing. It's like, how do you make a villain seem more like a hero? You make the heroes seem more like villains,
Yeah.
and it kind of works.
Yeah.
Like it kind of worked because he kind of made like they kind of used the like carefreeness of the heroes as an advantage because even though Black Adam's clearly a villain, he still cares for the people of his country.
Mm.
So he kind of used that to paint him in that picture. Clearly, he's still in the wrong as just murderous psychopath, but it's like he's a murdering psychopath for the right reason, so he's a hero.
Right.
But whatever. But I really liked this movie. I really did. Like, I didn't expect to like this movie at all. I did not expect. Like, it was weird because it was like, I don't like it. And the trailers come out. Okay, that trailer's not too bad. Like, you see some things, you're like, I don't know. I think I found the best part of the trailer. And then you see that Doctor Strange thing, you're like,
Doctor
oh.
Fate, but yeah.
Doctor Fate. I knew I was gonna do that at least once. Doctor Fate thing, and you're like, oh, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Hawkman. Oh, that looks pretty good too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. We'll check it out. And then the movie and it comes out. And again, the movie does do the cardinal sin of every superhero movie of the villain is really you, but slightly different. Again. And it's the most forgettable villain ever because I can't tell you the name of him before or after he transformed. But nobody cares because he only lasted 5 minutes anyway. Mm-hmm. But yeah, but again, I think they did a really good job of one, it just looked good. Like the effects were very solid.
Oh yeah.
I was not expecting good effects at all.
Especially when like the original trailers the first couple of trailers had the very stereotypical Middle Eastern like gray brown filter
Filter.
over everything, and they got rid of
Yeah.
that. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah.
But
Um,
yeah.
yeah, like I liked Black Adam's character a lot more than I thought I would. I love the Justice Society. I wish there was like one more member on it or whatever, but like as far as the core, like the four that we got, I liked them all quite a bit. I liked their banter with each other. Obviously, Doctor Fate and Hawkman were standouts, obviously, but like their interaction with Black Adam. I thought the score and music overall was very good.
Mhm.
Most of the like jokes, they wasn't even that joke heavy, but most of the jokes that were there were pretty solid.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's fun. like,
It was a good time. Like this was a
yeah,
movie you enjoyed. Like this was one of those movies that even if there is no continuation, this was a lot of fun to
uh huh.
watch.
I was like, it didn't overstay its welcome. It's just over 2 hours long. Like it's the perfect length. One of those movies that I feel like it easily could feel way too long, especially if it were like 20 minutes longer. And I'm sure there are movies before where it's like, why is this movie still going? We're done. It's like, or why
Yeah.
is this happening? You're just padding out for time, but like, it was it used its time very effectively. It just, yeah, unlike something like Thor: Love and Thunder, which was about the same length, but it felt too short while watching. It's like, oh, we're already at the end. Oh, okay. Whereas here, it's like, we're an hour and a half in. It's like, oh, like we're just now getting to the climax. Feel like, feel right where we should be right now. It was just, yeah. I thought it was a blast.
Yeah.
um, like I said, it was not. It was not even like in my top 15 most anticipated things going into this year. It was somewhere in the honorable mentions, but but apparently it should have been. Okay, who knows?
Right? It's like who would have thought? Like I didn't know.
Yeah. That was my number four, also, by the way. So
Oh, cool, cool,
yeah.
cool. Okay, so we're in sync here. Let's
So
go.
yeah.
But yeah, pretty solid. Okay. I know a lot has been going on with DC, especially lately, that
Yeah.
we
Well,
probably won't be on. But like, assuming things had have gone, we'll say as planned, would a Henry Cavill, Dwayne Johnson, Superman versus Black Adam? Would you have been down for that?
I it's just like a one-off dumb thing. Sure, why
Right, right, yeah.
not?
Like, if it gives the same vibe, kind of just like a this isn't implications for anything. We're just kind of doing this for fun because Dwayne Johnson wants to be a superhero and Henry Cavill's like, yeah, man, sure.
hmm
Like, yeah,
Yeah, if you be down for it, like I won't I don't necessarily know what a 2-hour movie of that would look like, but
no,
if
it
it's
would have to be way shorter because that like because anything that's not them punching each other is gonna feel like wasted time.
right.
Like pretty much how you need to set it up is something's going wrong. Something that affects conduct is going wrong slightly outside of conduct. You
Mm,
could have like Bialia or some other made up country
yeah,
attacking conduct and then conduct, right?
that sounds right.
I don't know. It might
Probably.
not be. I don't know.
It's
And
made
then
up.
Black
Doesn't matter.
Adam goes over, breaks Amanda Waller's rule, goes over there, shuts down Vialia or something, and
mm,
they're like, "Oh, he broke house arrest. Superman, go get him." Which, granted, I don't know why Superman's working for Amanda Waller, but whatever. But
yeah.
Superman kind of shows up. Of course, being Superman is like, "Hey, man, just here to talk this out. I'm not here to start fighting. Talk it out. Let's talk about this. Hey, man, help me help you. What can I do?" And then, of course, Black Adam's not having it. You're disrespect. We go into it. We fight, and I think as they're fighting, I think they have different styles. But I think Dwayne Johnson's more like, I'm just here to kill you. Superman's trying to fight, but also doesn't want anybody to get hurt,
Right.
but also doesn't want Black Adam to be all around. So he's trying to make this the best situation possible. It also kind of more talking while fighting at first until the magic really starts hurting Superman. Then Superman gets serious, and then it gets really serious. And then I'm trying to think how they would go because,
Uh, would it? Would I mean? It's still, there would have to be some other big villain at the end, right? Like,
but like I hate
I
that.
hate it. I do, but
Like I understand that it makes the story tie up a lot easier if you omit it, but it's so lame to me
but
when you
Dwayne
like
Johnson
just
literally has a contract where he can't lose any fight that he's in. It's
is
like
that every I thought it was just Fast and the
I
Furious. That's every movie?
I heard rumors that like those actors that contract is kind of bled over in other projects. So
That's serious,
I think
bro.
so.
Come on. I'll be honest, if that's the case, I'm not putting you in my action movies. Like that, like you just have to go with the script, my guy. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like if your character loses this fight, it's a GG. I'm
uh,
sorry. Like, oh man,
I don't
like can
know.
you
Like
imagine? Are you serious? Like,
I could be wrong. I just that's just rumors that I've heard, but like
I mean,
it kind of feels right, you know.
he didn't lose a fight in the, like. Granted, it was his movie, but I mean, he didn't lose any fights in this movie either.
Uh,
So I guess not. But jeez, that feels very,
yeah,
yeah. But whatever.
whatever. So yeah, like that theoretically could still happen. Theoretically. Yeah. We'll talk more about all that later.
Yeah,
But
I assume
uh,
next time we'll unpack all the package.
oh yes,
So much baggage.
like I texted you, that video might be 3 hours long.
Yeah,
So,
it's fine. It's fine. There's
uh,
much to say.
so we're in our top three now. What do you got?
Okay, so my number three is Moon Knight.
Okay.
So I really like Moon Knight. Again, I honestly Oscar Isaac destroyed this. Like he did an amazing job. You know how hard it is for someone to play two characters, and when one of them dies, you actually get super emotional.
Uh,
Like that, you know what I mean? Like I can't imagine like the Parent Trap, and then one of the sisters get. I'm like, no, like. It's still the same. Like this, I actually felt really upset. I was like,
mhm.
dude, stay there. I was like, oh, bro, I was going through it. It was crazy. Like, but you know what? But like that's how good it was because they legitimately felt like different characters. Like obviously it's the same face, it's the same guy, but he does between the voice and just the mannerisms, like the little stuff that like it feels like they blink differently. Like you know what I
Right.
mean? Like it legitimately feels like two different people in the same body. It's like you can't even do it's like it's stuff that it's just hard. That's just hard to be done. Like just that's so impressive. Like how they made that work. I like the idea that I thought I like the idea that like yeah he could just he has these powers. It's not really explained what Moon Knight's powers are. He kind of just kicks butt,
That's fine.
and I kind of like that. Like he
Yeah.
kind of just depends on the situation.
Mm.
And I will say the lore stuff did kind of get annoying,
Mm.
and it felt like it felt repetitive and not explained at the same time, which was annoying because it was like it didn't really make any sense, but they felt like they were always talking about it.
Uh,
And this very like almost kind of like a scene from like National Treasure, but like not as interesting because it was just like, oh, this, that, and this and that, and then when this happens with the moon, then you're just like, yo, what is going on right now? Like, what are we talking about?
yeah.
But
A little bit.
anyway, but again, really good. I really like the action scenes a lot. I thought the action scenes they varied a lot. They were in different settings, different environments,
Mm.
but they were all really interesting. Also, the switching was really cool.
Especially
Like
there at
when
the
they
end.
would
Yeah.
like yeah, I mean like it was real whenever they had like whenever there was a thing with Steven and then it would just switch and it goes back to Steven and then some dude is just like stabbed. You're like,
Mm.
oh my god. You're like, what? Whoa.
Mm.
Like that was always really interesting because it really put in the mystery. And I think that's something a lot of the Marvel shows that have focused on mystery, namely WandaVision and Loki, have done really well, I think, because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really helped this show, at least for me too, because it seems for me the shows that have had the mystery have been just I felt like I like them more because for me, a mystery feels more episodic, so it kind of makes sense. There's multiple episodes
Mm.
versus when you're kind of just going from action scene to action scene or drama to drama, whatever. It kind of just feels like we're just prolonging a movie. So this one kind of felt more like it fit a series, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I definitely want to see more of Moon Knight and more things. Wouldn't mind more, like more seasons of this, him and other like movies or collabs, whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, my number three is season three of The Boys.
Ooh.
So this may be propped up a little bit by the fact that my roommate and I binged the entire series this year. Um, I won't get too deep into it. If I think it's a show you should watch at some point. It's a little raunchy. I say it's very raunchy.
Oh,
but, but like, but Homelander is such a compelling villain. Um, all the main characters I think are very, very interesting. Just very. This is just a very well written show. Um, like everyone's motivations seem very like very real. Like if essentially if you were in this world, like I feel like you would react the exact same way to what's going on. um,
that's good.
yeah, like I just the climax especially just uh, yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna go too much into it, but like everyone that
Yeah.
tells you The Boys is very very good, believe them.
No. I mean, I heard this season was some of the best TV some people said they'd ever seen.
I
So
I personally like season two a bit more. Just I don't remember exactly. I just remember watching. It's like season three is good, but like I like season two a lot, but like still very good. Um, but but yeah, like it, it's good. It's good.
fair enough.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Moving over to your number two.
All right. So my number two, I've got Black Panther 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think our top two are the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
likely. But yeah, I don't know. I really like this movie. I know it's. I have come to the official conclusion that the first one is better.
Okay.
That is my official take on it. I know I was very iffy for the first like week or so after I
Mm-hmm.
saw it, but I saw it again. Still really liked it. That's on the third time because why not?
Yeah.
But I remember, I think I saw the first one I think 4 or 5 times in theaters. But
Mm.
I I started I think by the second or third time I think I realized one of the reasons I really liked it is kind of because of nostalgia for the first one, if that makes sense. Because
Okay.
I think I just like the world of Wakanda in these movies. I love the characters, but I also love the environment. I love the music. Like the music and the sound design of these movies is awesome. Like
Mm.
everything sounds cool, everything looks great. You know, the stories are always compelling. The story is definitely more emotional. Definitely, like you feel a lot in this movie. I mean, it's from the jump, you're feeling everything, and it's rough. Now but there are some points that, like, especially the second and third time, you're like, yeah, this didn't need to be in the movie at all. Like,
Right.
I hate to say it, but like,
Ironheart didn't need to be
no,
in the
Riri did not need to
Sorry.
be in that movie at all. Like it's weird because it feels like she was just in the movie just to like. I really feel bad saying this,
No,
but
no,
just
yeah.
like to keep all the black people
Yep.
together. And it's like
It's true though.
it felt so unnecessary. It was like this feels like the whole like it doesn't make sense logically. It doesn't really make sense in a movie set because like logically speaking, okay, let's say we did have a person who can create a vibranium sensing machine.
Hmm.
A, she wouldn't just be a student at MIT. Like the government would just have her.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there's not like you're not a regular person at that point. You are a person of interest.
Hmm.
Like the government just has you, Shield or somebody. You just work for them now. Period.
Hmm.
Two, you give them all your designs, your specs, everything is say they have your stuff. they don't need you anymore. They just keep you, but they can make another machine if they want to,
Mm.
and you build more than one. By the way, like they don't take their only one on the planet and then bring it underwater. That just doesn't seem. A, it's not smart, and B,
Shot.
that just doesn't make any sense. Like, what if it wasn't? First of all, what if it wasn't waterproof? $1 billion down the drain. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, also three. Like, I understand we live in a world where genius is over logic, but like, she made it out of scrap parts. Doubt.
Damn.
That doesn't even make sense. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like you would at least need some vibranium or know what like it feels like she didn't even know what vibranium was. It's like, oh, but I can make this. It's like
She,
that doesn't even make any sense. I don't
maybe
know.
she
Like,
like knows the theoretical, like compounds that create vibranium, so she's able to track that
but
compound.
how does she even know that?
I don't know.
Because it's not like they can. It's not like they have vibranium on the periodic table now. Like it. I
They
mean, they
might. I
might,
don't
but
know.
it's probably one of those elements we don't know. Because again, the only vibranium in the world is either in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before in Wakanda, or it's Steve Rogers' shield. So like, it's not like they have samples they just pass out in science class.
Yeah.
Like, it's not really. I don't know. It feels odd that she. So I don't know. Her whole character and being in this movie feels very unnecessary
Yeah.
because I feel like or like Wakanda and Talokan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their whole conflict, they didn't need the machine. He could have just said, "Hey, they figured out we have vibranium." They could have just, I don't know, maybe it glows underwater. Like it doesn't really matter. Like you can just kind of, they know we have vibranium now.
Yep.
You could just say they have a vibranium detector because that was a big plot point in the last Black Panther movie. It was like we can just walk in metal detectors and have spears, and they don't even know. Like
Yep.
maybe they could have, maybe as some time's gone by, we've gone out of our way to like, at least find some way to, figure out vibranium that we can at least detect or something. So maybe they were like, hey, we're getting readings not just in Africa, we're getting readings in the ocean, and then that's the whole thing. Also, Namor immediately choosing violence with Wakanda makes no sense to me because, like, not because Wakanda didn't really do anything. Like,
I
look,
mean,
go ahead.
the Queen and Shuri both betrayed him technically from his perspective. So
But like,
he had. Well, okay. For the record, comics Namor is historically one of the most unreasonable characters on the planet. Like to the point where in some continuities he straight up has like multiple personality disorder. So like,
oh, dang.
so like maybe they were kind of leaning in on that, where like he was intentionally like he was intentionally written to kind of be unreasonable, and they might delve more into that in more like Namor focused stuff if they
Okay.
can. I don't actually know if they can. I think Universal technically has the rights to Namor, kind of like a
Really?
Hulk situation. Yeah, um,
Yeah.
but regardless, I think
Okay.
it is it in this movie. It did seem a little forced just to have conflict, but
Yeah, like maybe if they had have made that more known that he was just unreasonable just because, or that was a choice,
mm,
because it kind of felt like at first he was like, it's like you break into my house and then you're upset that I didn't welcome you in. It's like you broke in. What did you expect me to do? Like have cookies waiting? He like breaks into Wakanda. It's like, y'all gonna help me out? It's like we just found out about you today from breaking into my house. It's like we're not really on the best of terms. Like
right.
you could have at least like like I feel like he should have been a little more diplomatic, I guess. But then again, if you're a god, I guess you don't think you have to talk to humans. But I don't know.
All that being
But no.
said, it's still a very very good movie.
Oh yeah, no, I feel bad because I know I sound like I'm like absolutely like pooping on the movie. I am not, but I love this movie. I'm not by any means. I'm just listing my complaints early, so now when I gush about it, it's like, okay,
Mm,
he's not completely brainwashed. But no, I really like this movie because one, the emotional aspect, like I know this was a very unique situation because I mean I don't know how many movies where the title character has died while this movie's in production, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
this happened. So the way they handle it, I think, is beautiful because one, they explain it exactly how it was explained in real life. So you don't
Yep.
have to like jump around any hoops. It's just, hey, we had this guy who was larger than life, but was secretly withholding that he was battling something, and it went, and it didn't work out. And that's exactly how they put it in the movie. He's still a great person. He's honorable. He's amazing, but everyone's human essentially.
Yep.
And I think that was really, and it was tough to, that was a really emotional opening. I mean, especially like the scene where the casket's going up and they're playing the theme music. I legitimately cried.
Mm,
Like, dude, that was
mm,
rough. I ain't gonna lie, because it's like, oh man, that's rough. But like again, really good. I love how we go back to Wakanda and it's everything we like is still there, and they add new things. They have a lot of recurring characters. They add a few new characters. It's like, oh yeah, sure. They don't take anything away, don't add a ton, but it's fine. They do a really good job with that. I like how they're really I like how they still get like I love especially the Dora Milaje still gets like they get
mm,
stuff done like they
mm-hmm.
don't play around and I like how they're just kind of like yeah we're walking in taking our business doing what we do and also I really like how even though we're incorporating an entirely new culture again basically Wakanda underwater
Mm,
I like how they're kind of doing something how the traditional Marvel formula is oh the bad guy is you but slightly different
mm-hmm.
like they're doing that but it's with the whole country so it gets a pass it's like it works
Right.
so
And
it's
then
like
Namor has a completely different power set, so it's
right
yeah.
that helps a lot
Yeah.
like if Namor was basically the same as Black Panther then it's like okay now it's kind of stupid but yeah Namor's thing I mean he can fly he's already way different
And it
but
looks
like
good too, which I was afraid about. But yeah, it looks very good. Like
yeah no
his wings and everything looks good.
Yes, like because again, like because I remember thinking, I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna make like I thought they were gonna make them like do like some kind of rocket boots or something. I think they were gonna actually do
Mm,
like actual like feathers or not feather wings on his feet,
they
but
did.
they actually did. It looked really good,
Mm,
and I also like that he flew like it like in the air, his center of gravity was his ankles. It
yes.
wasn't like his back. Like because he like he like run flies almost. It was
Uh,
kind of interesting when he dodged and stuff like that. It was like he was juking. I was like, that's exactly how somebody who will fly like that would fly. It's not like Superman where he just his whole body's flying. It's only this part of him's flying.
mm,
So that was really cool. I like that dynamic. I also like that like Namor and Shuri got along. I thought that was really cool because like obviously, we're not cool, when you go to war with my country, but like just person to person, it's like, look, like I see where you're coming from, but I think this way is different. This way is better. And I think that's really because I feel like that's kind of like it's kind of like the opposite angles that they had in the last movie.
mm.
Because in the last movie, granted misguided, but Killmonger's like, we gotta do what we gotta do to protect our people from the world, and like it was like, well, and Charles like, oh, let's kind of keep things kind of, and this way he's like, all right, we gotta fight them before they fight us, essentially, kind of the same argument.
Right.
So it's kind of it's a different spin on him, and he has more cause, you could argue, but at the
Mm.
same time, not necessarily. But that's really good. And also, I don't know, I don't know, I liked it a lot. And I think Shuri as the Black Panther worked a lot because I feel like her not being the Black Panther most of the movie helped
Mm-hmm.
because one, it gives more respect to Chadwick Boseman, but also two, it's like I feel like if she had just been the Black Panther the whole time, it wouldn't have felt I don't want to say earned, but like it wouldn't have felt right because
I
like I feel I kind of like how she didn't even want to do it.
right.
I thought that was really a good touch because it makes sense.
Mm. I do find it very interesting that there are a couple of shots in this movie that, like, specifically with her being Black Panther, that I felt while watching the movie. It's like that is a trailer shot that was specifically left out of the trailer. Like
Yes.
her holding the helmet. That's a
Oh yeah.
poster. That was supposed to be on the poster, but they just didn't like the Black Panther part of this movie wasn't in any of the trailers until like the last seconds of the last trailer.
Right. Which again, I kind of like because the real Black Panther is dead, so to speak,
Mm,
literally and figuratively,
yeah.
and also like I think it's very like especially with a title, I feel like this movie is not just like this isn't just Shuri's movie, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Like this movie really is a history of Wakanda movie, if that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's really kind of because even though Shuri's the main character, it at no point does it feel like the movie's just about her. Like it's mostly focused on her, but it's not just her. It's how everyone. The movie is. This is gonna. I don't know if this is gonna make sense or not, but
Mm,
the movie is still kind of Chadwick's movie because of it's about how everyone is affected by his loss.
right.
And I think that's a really awesome design
Mm-hmm.
and just writing because it's really interesting. I know it's mostly about how Shuri's dealing with it, but it shows the movie shows how other people are affected also.
Right. And I think it handled that as well as it possibly could have.
Yeah, I mean, given the circumstances,
Mm,
but it is what it
yeah.
is. But I really like this movie. It was great. I am probably going to see it at least one more time before it comes out of theaters, and I do not regret that in the slightest.
Nice. Okay. So before we move on to number one, are there any honorable mentions you want to bring up?
I wanted to say I have not seen this, but everyone has told me Peacemaker is great.
Same. Yeah, I haven't watched it. I heard it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no,
um,
I've heard it's great.
yeah. Uh, yeah, I have Peacemaker, Miss Marvel, and I haven't played it, nor have I actually watched anyone else play it. But the opening cinematic of Gotham Knights is very good.
Oh yeah, I had that. Yeah, yeah, no, it is actually. Yeah, I've watched like I think I was watching someone play. I watched like the first like three playthroughs, so I've like around 2 hours of the
Mm.
story. It looks good, but
Does
not
it?
as good as I think it
Does it
should
look
look.
good though? I don't know. Like,
Like okay, it's like it looks good if the Arkham games weren't amazing,
okay, that's fair. Yeah.
and that's kind of the thing. It's like the Arkham games were amazing, and they're way older and they kind of still look better. So
Mm.
it kind of makes this game look like the game doesn't look bad. It's just like it's kind of like okay, it's kind of like you're a younger sibling. It's like if your older brother like well actually your older brother might have, but like if your older sibling is like valedictorian
Mm.
and you're just an AB student,
Right.
you're by no means a bad student, but people just kind of look at you slightly less than they should, kind of thing.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of how it is with Gotham Knights. Like, it's not bad, but I think because the standard for Batman games is just insanely high,
Mm.
we kind of just think, oh, it's garbage because it doesn't look as good as Arkham Knight,
Uh,
which it should because it's on PS5 versus PS4. But also,
but like
I mean,
you can clearly tell this game was not made for the PlayStation 5. It was clearly a PS4 game that was
yes.
mandated to be PS5 only for whatever reason, and like they didn't have time to update the graphics appropriately, so it just kind of
No.
looks muddy.
Yes, that's what, and like I feel like it makes me upset because again, I was 100% gonna buy this game for PS4,
Right.
and then
Last
it
second.
made
Nope. You can't.
yeah, it was like what, like I think it was 2 months before
Was it
release. They were like, oh,
June?
by
Came out in October. Yeah. I
October.
was like
Okay, so 3 months.
4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not long before release that they were just like, oh, by the way, PS5 only, even though nobody has a PS5. but whatever. Like, I don't know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, yeah, worth an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel it's pretty obvious what our number one is. You want to? It's not Morbius. Are you sure?
Oh man.
Boy, I feel so stupid.
Look,
Like
no.
we I recently rewatched our top most anticipated things of this year. We had this at number 9. Are you kidding me? We had this at the bottom of our list.
But again, kind of like what you said earlier about Black Adam. If you had told me that the best movie, like if you had told me in January, the best thing that I would have seen all year was going to be a first Robert Pattinson Batman movie,
Mm.
would not even have believed it. Between Thor, Doctor Strange, and everything else going
I
on
thought
this
Spider
year.
Verse was coming out this year. That didn't happen.
Right? Yeah.
But like the
But
trailers looked
still, Black
fine.
Panther, like,
Like the trailers looked fine, but they didn't like grab me in
they
any
did.
shape. Like, boy, this
Like,
movie's good.
even now that I've seen the movie, the trailers I don't look better.
Right?
Like, I look, because I always do that. I always watch the movie and I look back at the trailers. And sometimes I think, man, the trailer is better now than I see the movie.
Mm.
They're kind of worse. Because, like, the parts they're showing aren't even the good parts of the
Right?
movie. They're like, they're showing the scene on the clock tower. It's like, dude, that was like the boring part where I was like, yeah, I don't even care about this
Right.
part. Like, that's not even the good part. Like,
No, this movie's amazing.
yeah, dude, again, I was not expecting just a Batman movie, a standalone Batman movie coming out of virtually nowhere
Mm.
to crush it like this one did. And like, yes, I love Batman, but I'm also very critical
Oh yes.
when it's not done well. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Uh,
like we've had many a podcast where I've gone in on some Batman take things I don't like, and that's kind of why I was worried about, because it's like the more you like something, the more you don't like when it's not done well, and
oh
you're
yeah.
like, okay, like I'm going into this movie expecting not to like it because I'm already like, all right, this doesn't. I'm not a fan,
It took
and
it took 2 minutes. It took
that's what I was about to
2
say. That's what I was about to say. I was like, and the first scene, I was like,
Oh dang.
oh no, this might be really good. Like, I was like, if the movie's like this, I'm it, because that whole, like, the scene with the signal and like the criminals freaking out with the shadows, and there's not, like, dude, that was like, I was like, yes,
Michael
that is
Michael Giorgino is a S tier like uh music producer, or what are they called? Music
sound designer.
person for composer. That's the word. Composer,
Oh,
movie composer. But like, he did stuff for Incredibles, other Pixar stuff, Rogue One. Like he's done a lot of stuff throughout, you know, throughout. But like this score was just phenomenal. Like this movie would be good regardless, but that score just drove it home. It's just like, man.
pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yep.
It was pretty good,
Um,
man. And also the thing too that's really big is like with this movie, it's like, all right, it's gonna, you're going in, you're like, okay, so the Riddler's the villain. He's kind of looking more like Zodiac killer or whatever. It's gonna be interesting. Like, it was really good at keeping you guessing. It felt smart, but it wasn't trying to. It felt smart without trying to be too
mm,
smart, but it wasn't like annoying. There was a lot of realism into it. Also, again, my one gripe with it, I remember, was like, I didn't like that you couldn't really play along with the
right.
puzzles. That was like the only thing that I didn't like, because that's something I love about anytime there's a Riddler episode in any Batman show. I love playing along to see if I'm smart, or like, I don't know, not so much in the Arkham games, but I don't know if you've seen like the Batman the Telltale
Oh
series.
yeah. Yeah, that's
But
fine.
dude, I mean, like
Yeah.
that Riddler, I'm like trying to play along, think I'm smart enough. I'm like, I died, obviously, but like, if I was Batman, I would have got my head sliced off. But like, it's like I love playing along with the Riddler because I feel like the mind is something that's so underutilized with Batman sometimes, and
Mm.
it was really good. I really liked Catwoman, how she was done. I like how there was, this connection with a lot of this. Like, she didn't feel like just thrown in. She was very much a part of the story because a lot of times I know love interest with superheroes can kind of just feel like an add on, not a part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But no, she was in it. She was a very important character. The movie would not have worked if she wasn't in it. I really appreciated that. Like, really good. I know Andy Serkis didn't do amazing as Alfred, but again, I don't think he had a lot to do other than get blown up in this movie,
Yeah.
pretty much. So that's not really on him. But also, I just can't unsee Claw, to be honest. So it was kind of hard, but it was still really good. I really liked this movie. The design was really good. I will say there's a little less gadgets than I like, but they can always add more in the next one.
Yeah.
But
And I said this before. I really really liked this Gotham. My
yes,
one criticism is that there's no blimps. I like it when Gotham has blimps.
even though we're in 2022.
I like
But
blimps.
yes. But no, it just like it's iconic. I don't
Yeah.
know why, but like blips in Gotham just makes sense. It
Like,
makes no sense. A
oh.
helicopter is 1,000 times more practical, but I like my blips.
But no, just like I was afraid of this world feeling more like too steampunky when I like it being more gothic, but like it balanced that very well.
Mhm.
Like I like that it was always raining. Just
Yes,
it feels right.
as it should be.
Um, it just yeah, every single actor just killed it the entire time. Um, yeah, like it's like this movie. Like I said, I went into it expecting to probably like it, fine enough, but not be blown away. Top three favorite superhero movie, easy. Like it is
Top
amazing.
what?
Top three superhero movie, easy.
Ooh, ever?
I think so. Yes, I think
Ooh.
so. Um, like I'll have to fight nostalgia on a couple of things. Like it's up there.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely good. Like it's definitely really good. It's just like yeah, like it feels like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It does. And I think that's something that if you can do that, you got it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's, you got it. Like it just feels right. It feels like, Gotham feels right. Batman feels right. Like yeah, it felt really it's like, hopeful, but still uses fear, but also still cares, but also like it's this mix, this concoction of emotions that makes a Batman story feel like a Batman story. It's a mystery, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also a lot of action. But there's also, there are real feelings. Like there's a lot going on there. I really appreciate it. And also, I like how, like, I like Riddler's plan. I like Riddler's plan. Like, yeah, he's crazy, but it kind of works. And I
Yeah.
also, as like it's like scary but also cool how they made it kind of more realism. Like it's a guy who goes online and finds these other people to like help him, basically starts his own terrorist group essentially.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you were gonna do that, that's how it would go down essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
and
that's
stuff like that happens all the time,
ex-
unfortunately. Like, yeah.
exactly. So it felt legit. It felt like this is real. It wasn't just like, oh, let me go to the goon store.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean?
uh,
Which, as much fun as lovable goons are, this wasn't the movie for that. This
right.
was more of a serious thing, and I like how he floods the like he does the thing, he does a plan smart enough that you would think of because like something like this is super dark, but like something I've always said is like, if you were really trying to like, you know, get everybody in one place, like at a school or something, you call in a bomb threat,
Mm,
everyone goes to the football field or whatever, and then you go to the football field. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
like in here, you flood the city. Where's the city evacuate? Oh, they come here. they're already there. Like
Yeah,
horrible, yes, but like
it's a good
for
plan.
a villain, I love it because it's like, yeah, if I was trying to be a terrible person, that's something I'd probably think of too. Like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? So like, it works for me.
Yeah, like my, it's not even a criticism, but it's very interesting that like Paul Dano just looks like the Riddler. Just give him a green hat and a cane. That is the Riddler. Yeah, it's
So
interesting that like you know he's not a traditional Riddler. His face is covered most of the time. Like I could easily see a thing like in the Arkham Asylum show or in a future Batman thing, like he could like put on the suit, whatever. But like it's very interesting that they went a very different direction, yet it still felt very
mm-hmm,
Riddler. Still felt very good.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think one they wanted to be as different as like from because the last iteration as possible because I
Mm.
think that's I've kind of noticed that's a trend with a lot of villains they try to do because like Heath Ledger's Joker is a lot different from Jack Nicholson and like
Yeah.
obviously Tom Hardy's a lot different from Batman and Rob like they're
Yeah.
trying to go out of their way like that's one of the reasons I think Bane wasn't like souped up on Venom because like they didn't want this to in any way resemble the last version or like I think they really want characters and villains to really be iconic for this movie specifically. So I think for
Mm.
Ridley, if they had dressed him up with, the hat and the cane, it would have felt a little too Carrie esque. At least I think so. Even though it's been a long enough time for sure, but like, and it makes it a little more realistic. And I mean that it doesn't make like I don't see a guy who's trying to basically be a domestic terrorist wearing a bright green suit.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
um, but
then again,
yeah,
I don't see a billionaire dressing up in all black and beating the crap out of
yeah,
criminals either. So
yeah. Again, it's not a criticism. It's just interesting that like I feel they handpicked someone to be perfect for a straight Riddler. They played it differently. That still worked very well. So
they also might not have known that too that they were going to change it up either.
right, like they
But
probably like we want Riddler for this movie, and like and then yeah, like they probably Matt Reeves like did a very basic outline of like characters he wanted and just basic plot points, and then it was like I want Riddler here, so I'm gonna pick someone to be a good Riddler. And it's like, well, I have this other idea. You still good with this? Yes, so he went with it, but then Paul Dano still pulled it off, so
you did.
very good. Um, and yeah, obviously, I want more in this universe. I want more. uh, uh, I want more stuff that's written by Matt Reeves, whether it be Batman focused stuff or greater DC stuff, but just especially the Batman 2 needs to come out as soon as possible, please.
Please and thank you.
Yeah. And now that I know the movie's going to be good, just make the trailers show it.
Make the trailers a little more honest.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it was. This was overall like a very solid year for superhero movies overall, superhero like projects overall. But the number one and two in particular were just like best
Exquisite.
best of the best. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like we have the same. I feel like we're all. I think we always have the same like top number one. Usually, it's usually because I feel like not always, but because like next year, I think I'd both. I think
I
we
don't even
both.
think it's fair to do one next year. Like
We'll do everything, but
number zero, obviously Spider Verse. Like yeah.
number zero for sure.
Um,
So
so, so excited. So yeah, anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign off?
nope, just ready for next year's stuff. I'm like this. I think we should next time we should like take our list and then compare it because I forgot my list from the beginning of this
Oh
year to
yeah.
be honest. Which I know a lot has happened. And,
Mm.
movies get delayed, things get changed, and things may or may not be as good as you thought they are.
uh,
So I like seeing how I like being wrong because if Batman was the only ninth good thing that came out, then it probably wouldn't have been that great of a year. But
right.
it exceeded expectations, so that is
Mm.
awesome.
Yeah, I know for my list, and I think your list too, Thor and Doctor Strange were in the top five.
Yeah.
Moon Knight was like bottom half. She Hulk wasn't on there at all. Black Adam wasn't even a question.
No.
Like,
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. Like, you just thought Black Adam was just going to be a waste of a movie ticket. And
mm,
it's like, no, that was really
yeah, it
good.
was.
No, that was good. That was a winner.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care.